Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a greeting to peace to all my friends and family, and to Piers Morgan if he watches this, and my dear brother Mohammed Hijab. I thought I wanted to do a reaction video on a recent live stream and a live broadcast on TalkTV where Piers Morgan was interviewing the Israeli ambassador in London, as well as Mohammed Hijab, and he had a few other announcements that he was making on the show as well. So I want to do the reaction specifically on the interview with Mohammed Hijab and give my personal opinion on these matters and answer some of these questions from my personal perspective. But before I start, I want to educate Piers Morgan, with all due respect, of course, and educate anyone that is not very familiar with the matter or has an understanding of exactly who we are, who the Jews are, and who the Muslims are, Arabs, and everyone else involved, and all the parties that are playing in this particular scenario. First of all, I'd like to make it clear there is no racism between any ethnic group, and because we believe as Muslims that we all originated from the same father and mother. Therefore, we all belong to the same family. We're all brothers and sisters, and we cannot discriminate against anyone else as a member of the family. And because of that, because we are of the same family, we are respecting each other and we value each other, and together everyone achieves more. Our purpose in life as Muslims is to serve others. Service to many leads to greatness. That is our purpose in this world. And by serving others, this is the form of worship to the Creator, because we believe in a Creator, one God, and just exactly the same as the Jews. So we see the Jews as our brothers. In fact, ethnically, I am part Jew, part Ashkenazi, part Egyptian, part Scottish. One of my grandmothers is Scottish, descendant from King Robert Fleming, and also descendants of Sir Alexander Fleming as well. So I am as much British as everybody else watching the show in the UK. But I also consider myself, first and foremost, a human being, part of the human race. And I do not discriminate against anyone. And this is the exact belief of every single Muslim. And it says very clearly in the Quran that Allah created us from a single pair of male and female and made us into nations and tribes, so we can recognize each other. The best of us is the best in conduct. Those who are more beneficial to society, to the community. The more an individual can contribute to society and be more beneficial in the world, the higher he is in superiority. There is no such thing as a superior race or a chosen race, or God will discriminate against a particular race. He would make the Jews as a superior race and everyone else is inferior. This concept of Zionism comes from the same concept and the same inspirational ideas that is founding Nazis. The same concepts that white supremacists believe in. The same concepts that the Ku Klux Klan believe in. Every single racist are following the same ideology. And this is not acceptable in this day and age. We are now 2023. We should have completely exterminated and ended the whole concept of racism. And this apartheid state you claim to be a sovereign state, a democratic state, and so on, is actually nothing more than a cult. It's nothing more than a group of terrorists who are basically of the idea that they are a superior race and everybody else is subhuman. In fact, even animals. That is how they look at every single race. It's not about Palestine. Today it's about Palestine. But once they ethnically cleanse all the Palestinians, they'll move at the next target. Next target are all the Arabs as a whole. Next it will be the blacks. In fact, there are so many extreme elements within the so-called terrorist state of Israel that they even discriminate against black Jews. Even the Jews are against this apartheid state. So it's not about a conflict of religion, nor is it a conflict based on ethnic group, like this is a Jewish state and this is a Muslim state, and this is complete nonsense. This is complete garbage. This is completely unacceptable. Since the beginning of even if we go not even go too far, even if we go back to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. Now we believe that Islam started from the very beginning of creation, and we believe that everybody that follows the scriptures that is sent down, so according to the Torah or the Gospel or whatever scripture that was sent down with any prophet, they were Muslims. So we believe that everybody is a Muslim anyway, and all the prophets are prophets in Islam, and they're Muslim prophets. That we don't make any distinction between prophets. However, if we just go back as far as this, the Islamic State from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, and then we look at the companions, the following heads of government. If we look at Umar ibn Khattab, Piers Morgan, when he entered Jerusalem, he liberated Jerusalem from the Roman occupation, and then the first question he asked, where are our Jewish brothers? And the Romans, or the person that was responsible at the time, he said, we exterminated most of them, if not all. And he said, why did you do that? They said it was a form of revenge on the Jews. It was the Christians, the Christian Europeans, the Romans that adopted the new religion of Christianity, the Roman Catholics. They're the ones who tried to exterminate the Jews. They're the ones who were taking revenge against the Jews. And then Umar al-Khattab, the head of the state, was quite angry of this mistreatment, because we see the Jews as our brothers in faith. We have common belief. There are many things that you don't know about. Like, for example, Jews can pray in a mosque and Muslims can pray in a synagogue, because these are regarded as houses of God, because we believe in the same creator. We have that common belief. There's no discrimination between us, and we lived side by side for generations. This is absolute nonsense. But then what did he do next? He asked him for the Temple Mount. And when and the guy told him, the Roman told him, that we use the Temple Mount as a rubbish dump, as a form of revenge on the Jews. And what did the head of state, imagine the head of state, imagine Rishi Sunak going down on his knees and picking up rubbish himself and cleaning up another group of people that they regard that particular site as as a religious site, whatever. And he cleaned it up, and then he asked one of the companions who reverted to Islam. He said to him, who was actually originally following Judaism, he asked him to go around everywhere, look everywhere around the world, all the neighboring countries, to find Jewish families and invite them back to Jerusalem, because they belong there equally as the Arabs, equally as the native people of the land. They have every right to live. Jews, Muslims, Arabs, Chinese, Indian, it doesn't matter who you are. The whole planet belongs to all the human race. There shouldn't be any discrimination. We are here on this planet as trustees from the Creator. Whether you believe in a Creator or not, you have every right to believe in a Creator or not. It's a free country, free choice. God gave you that free choice to reject or accept to believe in Him. That is something that you have to answer with the Creator. Only He is the judge. No one can judge you. No one can pass a judgment on anyone. This is what Islam teaches. No compulsion religion. The word La ikraha fi din, Arabic, which is often translated as there is no compulsion religion. It actually means no compulsion or way of life, because Islam is a complete way of life. It's not just a spiritual, doctrine or anything like that. It's a complete way of life. It's a holistic way of life. How to live your life, how to do business, how to trade, how to deal, bringing up children, how to be a parent, how to be a husband, how to be a father. How do you do business? I've said that before. Investing, economic system, the social system, legal system. It has a complete structure and everything. All aspects of human life. How to deal even with illnesses, the health, your diets and that kind of stuff. It deals with all these issues that you might face in the future and what was faced in the past, and the solutions. So a solution to every single problem in every aspect of human life. That is what Islam brings. And on top of that, the fundamental things that we believe in, there's only one Creator, and we believe in all the prophets, all the scriptures of God. That is the meaning of Islam. Peace and total submission to the will of God. And that's it. That's simple. But then God also gives you the free will to choose, to practice your way of life that you feel is good, as long as you do not exceed that boundaries. as long as you don't cross that line. You don't try to impose your way of life on someone else. Likewise, I can't impose my way of life on you. I can only tell you about the benefits, but you have to decide for yourself what is suitable for you. You have that free will. So there's no compulsion or anything else. But then when you have these Zionists, Nazis, Ku Klux Klan, white supremacists, and so on, these people are evil beings. And evil prevails when good people are silent. There comes a time when silence is betrayal. There comes a time when inaction is betrayal. And this is why everybody needs to speak up against a Zionist state, because it's a terrorist state. It was a terrorist cult. They started terrorist activities way before the establishment of Israel. This is the fact, and Mohammed Hijab tried to say that to you so many times, but you was cutting him off. But anyway, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I was wrong. So let's hear the live stream again, and let's go through things bit by bit. I hope I didn't take too long in my introduction, but inshallah, I'll try to answer some of your questions. And I'm not an Islamic scholar or anything. I'm just a simple man. I'm nothing. I'm absolutely nothing. But I am a very simple. All I am is a servant of Allah, servant of God. And all I'm trying to do is benefit anyone that I come across in my life. In any way I can benefit people, I do it. You know, I do my best. I'm here as a servant. Servant to God by being a servant to mankind. That's who I am. I'm nothing special. Not a celebrity, nothing special. So let's watch the live stream, inshallah, God willing, and let's go through it together. Okay, let's get started, inshallah.
This conflict has awoken. Well, among those viewers was Mohammed Hijab, the controversial pro-Palestine influencer with nearly 1 million YouTube subscribers of his own. Here's what he had to say about him.
Do you think Piers Morgan, on fair grounds, would try and speak to me about an issue like this? Or Ben Shapiro, when they know what I'm going to come with? Absolutely not. Don't pretend you don't know who I am. You've been watching my videos. You know what I'm about. Your silence is deafening. And your cowardice is apparent.
Well, Mohammed Hijab joins me now. Mohammed, thank you very much for coming in. I hadn't actually watched your videos. I have now. I've watched a few of them. I'm aware you've got a massive following. You've got nearly 1 million YouTube subscribers. You're an influential person, and you have a lot to say about this issue, obviously. So I thank you for coming in, but I'm not too cowardly to talk to you. I don't have a horse in this race. I think I've tried to straddle a divide of being fair-minded with all sides. I've had all voices on the show.
I commend you for that, actually, to be honest, for bringing me on. But do realise I did caveat that with on fair ground. So let's hope that this interview is conducted.
I intend to be completely fair.
Yeah, sure.
I promise you, because all I want to get to here is a real sense of what is going to happen. We can all look back at. We can all look back. Let me just. We can all look back.
Before that, Piers. Yeah. Sorry, if you want to say fair grounds, you introduced me as a Palestinian controversial.
I actually corrected myself.
Right, so
I said pro-Palestinian. I meant to say pro-Palestinian.
So why did the word controversial come into play?
I think you're controversial.
So are you.
Yeah, I wouldn't deny
So is
that.
the ambassador. Why didn't you introduce her in that manner?
I'm happy to say that to many people, her views would be controversial.
So why didn't you introduce me as the Oxford graduate?
Do you want to be introduced as that?
Yes.
Okay, you're an Oxford graduate.
Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. You can be introduced as anything you like, frankly. It makes no difference to the debate. Let me ask you this. Where were you when you heard about what happened on October the 7th?
I was at home.
What was your reaction when you heard?
I was actually very sickened by it. And this is something I do want to put on the table because I think it's fair for people to know this. In our religion, we do not believe, okay, as a Muslim, I am a Muslim, and I do not believe in the killing of any man, woman, or children, non-combatants. That is not despite the religious teachings. That is because of the religious teachings. So in terms of condemning Hamas and just jumping straight into it, I condemn not only Hamas, but any other entity, okay, wherein it's proven that this has been done, that the killing of combatants has been done. Therein, I condemn any party that does it. Any party that kills people or strikes at people where it's more probable than not that it will hit a civilian target, I condemn them. And that's why I condemn the IDF. Because when they strike, they know that it's more probably than not going to hit civilian targets. They know that the majority of civilians, or the majority of people that are going to be affected, are civilians. We know that from the various operations that have been conducted. We know that because now in Gaza you find that there is a blockade, as you know, for 17 years, but also they're stopping them from electricity, water, which is a war crime under Geneva 4 of the Geneva Convention, Protocol 4 of the Geneva Convention. So this is something I'm surprised you didn't actually mention to the ambassador.
Well, I did mention it.
You didn't say it's a war crime.
Well, I think it's an arguable point whether it's a war crime.
Okay, let me ask you now.
They are saying Israel, at the moment, Israel is adamant they are not breaching war crimes. Right? It will be determined. But it will be determined whether that's the case.
No, sorry.
What is it?
That's incorrect.
Mohammed, let me make a point to you back on that.
Okay, before you make a point, Piers Morgan, I just wanted to say something to yourself and the audience. In Islam, there is rules of engagement when you're in a combat situation, when you're going to war or you're under attack. First of all, before anything, you cannot start war in any way. You can only fight those who fight you. So if you're in a combat situation, you come and attack me, I'm in self-defense, I'm fighting back. I can't go out there and attack you. I cannot initiate an attack. I have to wait for you to come to attack me, and then I defend myself. And when I come to defend myself, according to Islam, there are rules. For example, if I was going to take a shot, I have to be 100% certain that I'm only going to harm or defend or kill the person that's about to kill me. I cannot attack a target if there's even a minute probability that one innocent civilian will get harmed. There is no such thing as collateral damage. So you cannot harm any innocent civilian that is non-combatant. That's number one. Number two, I cannot cut trees or harm the environment in any way. So let's say I'm about to shoot at you and there is an animal running. I can't take the shot. If I'm about to shoot at you and you're shooting at me and I'm shooting at you now, and there is a potential that I could even damage a tree, I can't take the shot. Now for you, you don't have any rules of engagement. You could do absolutely anything, any terrorist activity. But me, I cannot even fend myself and protect myself and attack you and take a shot if there is any potential harm to a civilian, agriculture, places of worship. Do you get what I'm saying here? It's so impossible for any Muslim to fight unless it's face to face. So if we're in a sword fight, fist to fist, then that's the only way that I can be certain that I'm fighting you and you're fighting me and no one else in between is going to get harmed. Okay, that's another thing as well. Okay, and I cannot poison water. I cannot harm the environment. I can't harm animals. There are so many rules of engagement in Islam, in the situation of a combatant. Now, but let's just say now, hypothetically, we're at war and I catch you. You're now a prisoner of war. You can only be a prisoner of war if you was a combatant. That means if you was a soldier, an armed soldier that was about to kill me. Now you surrendered, and as soon as you surrender, I cannot, attack you. Once you put your hand up or put the white flag up and say, look, I surrender, that kind of thing, I cannot now harm you. I cannot go beyond the bounds. I cannot continue my aggression. I have to stop immediately. And then give you peace. And once you're a prisoner of war, you now go back to being a brother in humanity. And it's very clear instructions. I have to feed you from what I eat, clothe you from the clothes that I wear. I have to treat you with dignity and respect because you are still my brother in humanity. You're no longer my enemy. A few moments ago you was my enemy. You was trying to kill me and I was fighting back. And for now you've surrendered. You're now captive with me. You're a prisoner of war. I cannot harm you in absolutely any way. I cannot mistreat you because you go back to being my brother in humanity. Do you see the difference? Do you understand that, Piers Morgan? Do you understand that anyone that's watching who's a non-Muslim, an enemy of Allah? There's a big difference. Can you imagine that? Because ultimately we all originated from Adam. Therefore we're brothers and sisters. So our conflict is over, the fight is over, no more hatred, no more violence, no more aggression, no more the concept of revenge. Even one of the battles where the Muslims and the non-Muslims were fighting, and one of the enemies, one of the non-Muslims, the kuffar, that he fell back and he lost his sword, so he couldn't fight anymore, and he surrendered. And then, as he was being picked up, the man just spat in the Muslim's face. The Muslim didn't take revenge. He could have easily chopped his head off. He didn't take revenge. He paused and he walked away. He didn't even pick him up. And the enemy that was on the ground, he stood up and he said, "Why didn't you kill me? You had every chance to kill me. And why didn't you kill me?" He said, "Had I killed you, it would have been as an act of revenge for you spitting in my face. But previously, when we was in combat, it was a different situation. You was about to kill me. I was in self-defense. I was defending myself. Now I had every right to defend myself, and therefore it was kill or be killed. But because now you're unarmed, it's an unfair fight. And you spat in my face, and had I killed you, it wouldn't be in self-defense, because it's disproportionate reaction. And therefore I would be doing it out of revenge, out of rage, and therefore I walked away." And that man became a Muslim later on. This is some of the stories. And then the other story, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he was returning to his homeland, Mecca, where they performed the pilgrimage, if you're not aware, the Hajj. When he returned back with 10,000 soldiers, and he was outnumbered the enemy by far, and he made an announcement: anyone that stays in their house will be safe. Anyone that goes near the sacred mosque of the Kaaba is safe. And there was not a single blood shed. Not even the criminals that raped and killed, even the people that killed his uncle, Hamza. He did not seek revenge. He said, "This day we'll start a clean slate. We're all now brothers." It doesn't matter. If you believe, it's for yourself. If you're a Muslim, you're a Muslim for yourself. You will all answer to Allah. If you decide to worship any other God, if you don't want to believe in a God completely, you still have every right to live, because you're still a human being. You're still a creation of God. Even the animals are a creation of God. You have to respect animals well. Even a woman who was a Muslim at the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and she was praying, she was doing all the religious obligations, but she was mistreating a cat. And the Prophet said, because of her mistreatment of a cat, God did not accept any of her good deeds, and therefore she is in hellfire because of a mistreatment of a cat. And another woman who was very sinful, and then one day she seen a thirsty dog and gave him water. And because of that simple action, God wiped out all her sins and forgave her. Just because she gave water to a thirsty dog. Now imagine if you give water to another human being. Imagine if this woman that abused the cat, had she abused another human being, what would have been her punishment? It would be far severe than just mistreating. So any creation of God you cannot harm. Any creation of God. Not about Muslims and non-Muslims. Even the Prophet told us, Prophet Islam, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we believe that all the prophets are prophets of Islam, just to make that clear as well. He told us that all human life matters. He did not say Muslim life matters, or black lives matter, or white life matter. He did not say that. He said all life matters. If you save one life, he didn't say save one Muslim life. He did not say that, or one Arab life. He said, if you save a life, anyone's life, it's as if you saved the whole of mankind, because we all belong to the same human race. So where did Zionism come from? It came from this a racist ideology, a fascist racist ideology. They were inspired by the Nazis, and the British know exactly what I mean about this. Even the law-abiding citizens, the Jews, many of them are my friends. Many Jewish friends I have. And I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. I grew up in Golders Green, North Finchley, and many Jewish areas. So I have many Jewish friends. So it's nothing about this at all. And they're totally against it. They even told me that it's against the Torah. And I read the Torah. I read the Old Testament. I read the New Testament. I studied a lot of the scriptures. I'm not a scholar or anything, I'm just a simple man. But I wanted to know the truth for myself. I wanted to investigate with an open mind. I wanted to find out if I'm right or if not. Let's see what the evidence are. Bring forth your evidence and let's look at it together and let's see, let's make a judgment. I want to make an informed decision on the way of life that I will adopt for the rest of my life. What am I going to base my life on? What's my purpose of life? Why am I here? Where am I going? I need to answer these questions. And every intelligent human being that's got an IQ higher than one needs to go into their own investigation and their own research. So this is what it's all about, Piers Morgan. It's not about, white against black or Arabs against Jews. This is completely absurd. What's going on in the media? What you're being pushing in the media right now is completely absurd. You're pushing that there's two races and we're fighting as if we are all different beings from different planets and we're all here fighting to conquer planet Earth. It's complete nonsense. We are the human race and God put us on this planet Earth, as trustees. God gave us life and only God can take life because he's the one that gave life. No one has the right to take someone else's life. It's not about condemning this or condemning that. We condemn any forms of terrorism. There is no such thing as terrorism in Islam. It goes against the fundamental values, the core value of Islam. The word Islam means peace. So how could you come up with violence out of a word that basically means peace? Peace and total submission to the will of God. Exactly what Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, said in the Bible, in the Garden of Gethsemane. He put his head on the ground and he said, oh, I know you can hear me always and I don't need to raise my voice, but I raise my voice so they can hear. His companions. Jesus is talking about his companions now, the followers, disciples. And he said, I bow myself in peace and total submission to you up there, the Father in heaven, which means I bow myself, I submit myself to your will, to God's will, Allah. And if you knew Aramaic, you would also understand the word Allah, Elohim. You will understand these words. But unfortunately, the Bible is not here in its original form. But even in the current Bible that we have today, these stories are still there. I hope may Allah guide you, Piers Morgan. If you're sincere, may Allah guide you, but you have to seek knowledge. God only guides those who seek guidance. If you want guidance, you'll get it. If you want knowledge, you'll get it, but you have to seek it first. Okay, and you need to remove the prejudice from your heart. You need to always look at everything with a clean heart, a clean mind, with open mind. Listen to all sides. Don't be prejudiced. Don't fall in the trap of discrimination. Anyone that's not the same skin color as you, you discriminate against them. We're all one people. We all belong to the same human race. We're not different aliens. Okay, so I hope this is clear. But then what did Jesus continue with? I bow myself in peace and total submission to you. If you translate that into English, he says, I bow myself in Islam as a Muslim. That is the translation of the word. The word Muslim is someone that submits their will to the will of God. That's a Muslim. So he says, I bow down, and he prayed like a Muslim, put his head on the ground, and he said these words in a loud voice. And then he followed it by, I, by my own will, can do nothing. I can't do anything. I, by the will of God, will of Allah, inshallah, I can heal the born blind and the leopard. I, by the will of God, can bring back the dead. I, by the will of God, I can turn a clay, a model of a bird and blow and it comes to life. And there are many miracles, even more miracles from Jesus that mention in the Quran, that's not even mentioned in the Bible. So we believe in all the miracles of Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, Isa, and more, much more than anybody else. I hope this is clear so far. So we believe in Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him, and we believe he's a Muslim, just like we believe in Moses, who was also a Muslim. And the followers of Moses made that declaration. They said, there's no one worthy of worship except Allah and Musa Rasulullah. That was the declaration of all the prophets and all the followers of all the prophets. So essentially, in a very simple way, we are all belonging to the same faith. And that is one God and one purpose. And the purpose is to worship God. God created everything to worship him. How do we worship him? We're here as trustees on earth. We're here as servants. We're supposed to work this earth, benefit, help those who are less fortunate than us, pull them up, not exploit anyone, not think about our selfish thing. The whole concept of capitalism, dog eats dog and what, that's all nonsense. We're supposed to be going out there to help the less fortunate people, protect the vulnerable, without any benefit. Our reward is with our Lord. So you have to know that. When we do something, real Muslims now, people that understand the faith. And of course, there are good and bad people in all types of people, in all societies, all communities, all tribes. But we all have to stand up against any form of violence, against any ethnic group. And you cannot fight violence with more violence. You cannot fight racism with racism. So if the Ku Klux Klan are racist, blacks cannot rise up and say, well, we're going to create a group that's going to, do the opposite of these people, and then we start to discriminate against whites. This is absolutely unacceptable. Now, I'm a man with diverse ethnic genetics. So I cannot discriminate. I cannot be racist against any gender. I'm as much African as I am Egyptian, as much as I'm European, as much as I'm Scottish. I belong to planet Earth. And every single person has a percentage of different races in them. And ultimately, we all can we can go back, trace our roots way back until Adam. And for the Jews and the Arabs, they're a Semitic group. They both have the same father, Abraham. So they're even more closer. And then we look more similar from two brothers, Ishaq and Ismail. Stop discriminating against brothers. Stop trying to look for differences and segregate. We should be uniting. And I don't want to keep going on. I'm sure you've got a lot of stuff to say here, but I just wanted to add my 2 cents worth of input here and just say what I have to say. I hope it's beneficial. I really sincerely hope that anybody's listening can really understand the way forward is a peaceful resolution, not through violence, not from military conflict, not about revenge. This, we're supposed to be much more mature than trying to result and try to solve problems through violence, through killing. We should have an open dialogue, understand everybody else's point of view, and find a common platform. What's common between us? Let's work together. Let's cooperate. Let's find a way forward. That is the way we're supposed to get along. But I'll carry on. I'll add more inputs. But I just wanted to disturb you here before you pick up Piers Morgan. And I'm interested to listen more. I did actually watch the live stream, but I do want to sort of rewatch it again in case I've missed something while I was watching it on TV. Okay, let's carry on.
I think surely we can agree that what happened on October the 7th was a war crime. I mean, when people are taking grandmothers and executing them, kidnapping young children, when they're killing babies in their cribs, we can agree that's war crime, right?
Okay.
So killing babies in the crib and all that stuff has actually been proven to be fabricated evidence. If any such thing happened, that of course is a crime. It's inhumane, it's unacceptable. And like I said before, in a combat situation, Muslims have to abide to certain rules of engagement. You cannot harm civilians. You cannot do any form of crime against innocent civilians. You cannot even do these kind of crimes on soldiers, combatants. You can only fight those who fight you. That means the people that cross that border, had they faced soldiers who were shooting at them, they have every right to defend themselves and shoot back. Not stand there and surrender and get shot and get killed. Now, I have friends in Palestine. I have friends in Gaza. And if you think this is an innocent act, or by these people just unprovoked attack and all that, it's absolute nonsense. I have friends that were getting shot, snipers on the walls. They were shooting at innocent civilians on a daily basis in Gaza. That's what you don't know, Piers Morgan. They attack innocent civilians, people going about their daily life way far away, just waking up in the morning, kids are going to school, and the snipers, the Nazis and Zionist snipers on the walls, they're using the kids as target practice. And the Gazans never, ever ever retaliated to such attacks. Imagine you are being constantly, every single day you go out your house, someone's shooting at you. Someone's using you as target practice. Imagine that's what's happening. Imagine that your kids are getting kidnapped and they're disappearing. Women are being kidnapped and getting raped and killed. They are basically treating the Gazans and Palestinians all over the occupied territory as guinea pigs to do experiments on them, scientific experiments, organ harvesting. There are so many crimes, so disgusting, you would not even imagine that human beings do to other human beings. And they do it because they are so brain trashed in the concept that they are a superior race, that God gave them that right, that they are the true human beings and everybody else are just subhuman. And that's absolute nonsense. And you hear it in their rhetoric every single day, Piers Morgan. The whole idea of calling an ethnic group of people as human animals. This same wording came out of Hitler, came out of the mouth of every single serial killer, every single racist. They say the same thing about the other race, the other people that they're trying to exterminate. So you should try to understand it. You should be far more intelligent than this, Piers Morgan. Don't accept this nonsense that's coming out of the mainstream media, although you're part of the mainstream media. And don't side with the bully. Don't find, like some people, they go to the strongest and the big bully, and they try to befriend the bully. Instead of standing up to the victim, you're standing up on the side of the bully because you want to be with the strong. You shouldn't be doing that. You should stand up for justice. When someone does something wrong, you're supposed to stand up against that person. Not fear for the reaction of the bully. It's just like he's bullying that weak person. He's going to turn his bullying and his violence against you. So you're afraid of him. Be a man. Don't be like that. You have to be a man. You have to be brave. You have to say what you believe in your heart and in your mind. Don't be afraid of anything. Just say the honest truth. Don't side with criminals just because you're scared that they might target you next. Just speak the truth. Be honest. Be honest with yourself. That is self-respect. When you respect yourself, when you're honest with yourself, then you'll be able to sleep at night in peace because you know you said the truth. You didn't lie. You didn't abuse your position of authority as a presenter. Don't be biased. Okay? Now, I'm sorry I didn't interject it again, but I just have to because sometimes I have to take out that steam, just because I'm extremely upset when innocent civilians are killed every single day. Many are friends and family of friends, and it's absolutely absurd what's going on. Anyway, I'll carry on. Let's keep watching because it's going to get better, inshallah.
Babies.
Can we?
Surely, of course, 100%.
Right.
But babies in the crib. Sorry, what was the evidence for that?
You don't believe that happened?
Sorry, CNN, the White House, Sky News, which you work for, all say.
I don't work for Sky News.
Well, your thing.
I did work at CNN.
I
saw one reporter who retracted it because she wasn't sure about the source.
It's unconfirmed by the White House.
But then the Daily Telegraph and the Jerusalem Post and other sources then did publish pictures,
CNN,
which indisputably show babies have been killed.
No, it showed one baby who's been charred, and that picture has been put up on Twitter and has been refuted by many people saying that it's actually AI.
No, that's completely untrue.
That is true. What's your source? What's your source?
There's been a thorough investigation.
All right, Piers Morgan, let me give you some facts. I'm a technology expert. I've done multiple degrees at master level. I'm currently working on my PhD. I've got decades and many, many years experience as a financial software engineer. And before that, I was into energy sector, in software development, web development. I understand this topic very well. These evidence are all indoctrinated. They're all fake fabrications. It's very clear. It's obvious. You don't need an expert to tell you that. It's very, just like Mohammed Hijab said, they're even being rejected by the White House, rejected by other mainstream media, because it was so obvious that they're fake. So you cannot stand the ground on this. You cannot try to defend something that is clearly a fabrication, because this undermines your authenticity. If you do that, it means you are not genuine. You're making yourself look bad in front of the public. Only numpties will believe in your story because they are racists. Only the racists, the right wing, the fascists, the Nazis, the Zionists, they would buy your story that is true because they want to believe a lie that doesn't exist. They want to create a fake enemy, a ghost that doesn't exist. Create that fear, the false evidence appearing real. These are the sort of people that will fall for this nonsense. So I'm telling you right now, it's a fabricated image. It was generated from AI. There are so many AI tools that can do this sort of thing. And it could look, well, not 100% real because there's always mistakes. So you need an expert to look at these images and examine it, and then you can stand by your claims. Because everybody else has already denied it. I think maybe you didn't get the news, you didn't get the press release regarding that. So you're still kind of trying to protect it in some way. I have friends from East Europe, Poland, they've sent me images, videos, and all these images came out from Ukraine or they came out from some pornographic film. And I completely looked at it and I said, guys, do you not know that Hamas and the Palestinians don't even speak Russian or Ukrainian? These people are clearly speaking European language, and they didn't even know that Palestine is actually in the Middle East. They thought it was part of Europe somewhere. It's a European country. That's how much ignorance exists in the world today. They don't even know where anything is. People are still numpties in that sense. They need to be educated. They need to be told about the history and when was Israel created as a country. Now, by the way, I have nothing against the word Israel because Israel is the name of a prophet. And the word Israel is in the Quran as well, just to let you know. Just as a side note here, it's the name of a prophet, and the descendants of Israel are called Bani Israel, children of Israel, children of that prophet, Israel. So we have nothing wrong with the word Israel. What we have a problem with is a Nazi and Zionist state. That's what we're against. That is what we're arguing against. Anyone that calls for violence, anyone that claims to be a superior race, because there's no such thing as a superior race and an inferior race. There is no such thing. It's very clear. God would not be discriminating, wouldn't create us. You don't decide who your parents are. You don't decide which country you're born in. You're just born, and you got certain traits and attributes, physical. You don't decide on what your height's gonna be and anything else. You just get a set of cards and you play your cards. You just basically work with your qualities. Each of us have our different traits and attributes. We're supposed to be completing each other. We should be loving each other because we're all related. We're from the same race. We're all brothers and sisters. We have the same father and mother. That's the way we're supposed to think. We're not supposed to be looking at our skin color and trying to look for our differences. Because today you're discriminating against the Arabs, tomorrow you're going to be discriminating against another different race until you kill each other, because you always find differences. Then you'll start saying, well, anyone that hasn't got blue eyes, they need to die. They don't deserve to live, because if you have blue eyes, that means you're a superior race. This is what God is given as a sign. And then you start killing everybody else that has brown eyes. What nonsense is that? That's how shallow you'll start to go if you follow this path that you're following. This is the concept of Nazis and the Zionists. They discriminate against races. They want a pure race. That's complete nonsense. That is complete nonsense. We shouldn't accept it in 2023. We're supposed to be more mature, more educated than this nonsense that's going on in the world. We should end the apartheid state. We should end terrorism. We should end discrimination against other people. We should end all this nonsense that's going on, all these woke ideas. If anyone wants, whatever way of life that anyone wants to live, they're free to do so. They could do whatever they want with their time, with their resources. They are free to do whatever, but they cannot impose their way of life on someone else. That is wrong. Don't cross other people's boundaries. Respect each other's boundaries. So that is what I'm talking about here. Anyway, I'm going to carry on now. I'm sorry I interrupted again. I have a tendency to just interject because I have a lot of points to share, and I'm trying to give a chance for the live stream so the audience can actually judge for themselves in case I'm wrong. And I'm entitled to my own opinion here. And if I have said anything wrong, I'm sorry in advance. First of all, I'm sorry in advance because I don't intend to offend anyone. But give me some constructive criticism. Give me the evidence to support your claims. Don't give me some nonsense claims. Don't give me fake images. Don't give me some fake videos. Don't do collective punishment on innocent civilians. Just, I mean, come on. Wake up. You know, be human. Be human. Why can't you recognize that? You're supposed to be mature. You know, we're not barbarians from like thousands of years ago and, you know, cavemen just killing and capturing and doing all these things. It's unacceptable in this day and age. There's law and order. You cannot do this anymore. But we have to be fair. Anyone that commits a crime, they have to be punished legally. No one has the right to take the law in their own hands. I'm not calling for anyone to take the law in their hands. Anyone that commits a crime, they need to be punished according to the law of the land. Not to take the law in their own hands. That's unacceptable. And therefore, the occupier needs to leave. Now, the civilians, they can live side by side. We can have peace and harmony like we did in the golden years of Islam, the golden years of the Jews. They lived side by side with the Muslims. They thrived under the Islamic government. The whole concept of the benefit system was actually, it came from Islam. From a Jewish man that was begging in the street, an old Jewish man. And the head of state was walking in the street. He seen a man begging in the street, and he was a Jew. And he asked him, "Why are you begging?" And he said to him, "I have no provisions. I have no family to look after me. I have no place to stay. And I'm too old to work." So he quickly rushed to the treasury and he made a declaration that from now on, anyone that has at a certain age, or infants, they're supposed to get a child benefit. And if you're an adult beyond a certain age, you get pension from the state and you get food and shelter, free shelter. And everybody was given land to harvest. And if you grow produce, you keep the produce, you keep the profits for yourself. So he created a whole economy. And therefore, they completely eradicated poverty, if you didn't know that. And under the government of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, which was the fifth leader in Islam, just like you imagine head of state, the fifth prime minister, if you want to put it that way, or fifth president, just to make it simple. From the word Khalifa, basically means a representative. It's nothing like some terror group that you might come into your mind when the word Khalifa comes into your mind. So he basically came in and he eradicated poverty, and they were given the tax system, which is called zakat, charity, alms given. It's only 2.5%, and they couldn't find any poor people in the whole land that was part of the same state. So guess what? They used to give the charity to the poor people in Europe. They would ship across, they would send shipments to Europe, the poor people in France and all over Europe. They would just have to donate it, because part of the rule is the treasury can't keep the funds. They have to disperse of all the funds that's in the treasury before the next fiscal year. Therefore, they had to just get rid of all the funds. So they would give out all the food supply from the storage, all the charities that were given in that particular year to the poor Europeans. They didn't ask them, what religion do you believe in, or become a Muslim before you get charity or you get the benefits. They would distribute it. And that upset the establishment, of course, because people started to feel they will get more justice, more respect under an Islamic government. That is justice. So don't think about your benefit system originated from the West. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist today in the Middle East as an example, but it exists in the West. But the whole concept came from the Muslims. Just a little bit of education for you, just in case you didn't know what Islam contributed. And many of the inventions that you have today originated from Muslim scholars, Muslim scientists, the concept of paper, printing press, paper money, algebra, calculus, you name it. All these sciences and technologies and advancements, where the foundation came from Muslims, in case you didn't know. So you need to remove that prejudice from your heart and your mind and be open and listen to your guests. Because you're the presenter, you're supposed to be asking questions, not lecturing your guests. Just a little notice that I noticed that you tend to talk more than you're asking questions. You're just going, you're kind of like trying to educate Mohammed Hijab, your guest, and you brought him on as a guest. Therefore, you're supposed to ask one question, give him enough ample time to answer the question, just like you did with the Israeli ambassador. You was kind of agreeing to everything. If she told you we're gonna bomb the whole world, you would say, yeah, it sounds like right, yeah, good man, yeah. You was like a yes man to her. Whatever she said, you did not even argue. You did not even point out any mistakes. You was agreeing on absolutely everything, all the nonsense that she was saying. She was jumping all over the place, talking about Manchester and talking about Hitler and talking about this. Just jumping all over the place. She had no point. She had no validity in everything she said. She had no facts. She was given no facts. All she was talking about is rage, violence, oppression of people, discrimination, and all she was saying that she's a mother and she cares for her children. Good for her. Be happy with your children. You have every right to do. We respect you as a mother. It's amazing to be a mother. You have children. Great. I hope they are happy. I wish you the best. But what's that got to do with a conflict? So you want to murder innocent people so your children can be happy? Is that what your children... Did your children tell you, go kill... Mummy, please go massacre innocent civilians because that will make me happy. Okay, I'll do a present for you. I'll go bomb the Gazans. Your kids didn't say that to you. So why are you trying to make your children happy by slaughtering innocent human beings? Carpet bombing innocent human beings. Collective punishment on innocent human beings. It's completely ludicrous. Complete absolute nonsense. You have a mosquito flying around is bothering you. So what do? You drop a massive bomb, blow up the whole world, nuke the whole world just for a mosquito. Does that make sense? Absolutely not. You call that madness if that happens. If Biden just presses the button of nuclear war just because there's a mosquito flying around. Come on. You don't punish the whole world just for a mosquito. And who told you that even the Palestinians support Hamas? It's the mainstream media, the nonsense. But have you actually asked the Gazan people, do you believe in the Hamas authority? Do you believe in this? And who told you even the Hamas did this whole thing? They were created by the Nazis and the Zionists anyway. They were created by and encouraged into power by the Zionists. They didn't come about from just resistance. They were encouraged to act as a form of a challenge for the PLO. That was the whole idea. Divide and conquer. So you get two political parties and they fight against each other. But if you imagine they're armed now, imagine the Labour Party and the Conservative Party and they have weapons and they want to get their point across in Parliament and then they just pull out their guns and start shooting at each other. Just imagine that. And some other party that's laughing their heads away. They say, well, let them kill each other. And once they're all dead, then we'll call an election. And because we're the majority and everyone else is dead, people will just have to vote for us. It would be absolute nonsense, correct? But that's exactly what's happening. They arm two sides, create a little distraction between them, so they start killing each other. And then, great, less people are fighting for the real cause, which is to liberate Palestine and create an equal, decent society where everyone, irrespective of their faith, irrespective of their creed, irrespective of ethnicity, can live side by side, like in the past. And all over the Middle East, the Jews were welcome. In fact, many Muslims saved Jewish lives in the Holocaust. Many Jews migrated to the Middle East and lived in peace and harmony. Way back, even before the Holocaust. Way back. They were escaping the persecution in Europe. They came to the Muslim lands and they integrated, intermarried. And therefore you will see many Arabs that are also ethnically Jew and they're Muslim. And many Europeans that migrated and reverted to Islam freely and intermarried. And they're at the forefront of inviting others to Islam. They weren't forced into religion. They weren't forced to believe, but they seen the beauty of Islam. They seen the justice that they faced. All that you see today is complete nonsense. Everything that you see on the media, absolute garbage. It's not true at all. There is no enemies, because we're all, again, once again, I'm saying to you again and again, we all belong to the same human race. It's totally unacceptable to kill your own family. And we are one family. We are the children of Adam. That's what we are. Anyway, I'm sorry for interjecting. Let's carry on.
Investigation into the claim that was put up there by some rogue person on Twitter that it was AI. It has been completely disproven.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Picture, which was published on the Telegraph, is a genuine, legitimate picture.
What is your source?
Are you seriously arguing that babies weren't killed?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying, give me a source.
Yeah.
You know full well you've been fired from the Daily Mirror for fake images. So you know full well about the
I didn't accept they were faked.
Exactly. The UK government did.
Yeah, they did. Because the UK government, just to be clear, had waged, in my view, an illegal war in Iraq.
So you're allowed to go against the government, and I'm not allowed to go against the Israeli government?
Of course you're allowed to.
So tell me now, what's the source?
You seem to be making a lot of presumptions about me, Mohammed.
Yes, you had softball questions.
I was the editor.
Ambassador of
no, there weren't. I put all the questions to the ambassador. I was editor of the Daily Mirror when we opposed the Iraq war on the grounds that I believed it was an illegal war. I still believe that to this day. I think it stained this country.
Fantastic.
I don't think you even knew that.
I did know that.
Right.
But that's not the point I was making. I was making the point that if you're allowed to go against the government in their classification of an image, then if you have pro-Palestinian activists who are saying, actually, we need to see a source, shouldn't they be entitled to that?
The Daily Telegraph published on page 3.
Should they be entitled to that, yes or no?
Talking about, the Daily Telegraph said they had independently verified the picture, Mohammed.
No, excuse me.
If you're saying that their verification is wrong.
No, excuse me. Primary source in academia, I know you've done a journalism degree, which is, frankly, is not relevant to what we're talking about here anyway.
Probably is to journalism, yeah.
No, it's not to this conflict. But we academics require primary source evidence in order to make it.
The Daily Telegraph said. The Daily Telegraph said they verified the picture.
That's a secondary source.
You may say
that's secondary source.
You may say
that's a secondary source.
Well, you may say you don't think it's genuine. I don't agree with you. But the wider point.
That was my point. I said I want a source. I just want to see the evidence.
I don't know what we're arguing about here. You're not contesting that babies were killed.
No, I'm saying I want to see the evidence.
So why are you picking on the semantics of the veracity of one picture, which has been verified by British journalists? Why are you picking on that?
British journalists are not
example of somehow this wasn't as bad as it seemed.
British journalists are not an academic authority. You know that full well. You've been fired from Daily Mirror for that very purpose. What I'm saying to you is this: putting this issue to the side, I think you're trying to use it as a red herring to move away from the bigger issues.
What red herring?
This is a red herring because already 1,023 children have been killed in Gaza. That's why. And you didn't ask the ambassador that question.
I literally asked the ambassador. I said 3,000 people have already been killed in a week in Gaza.
Well, you didn't ask her.
Did you even listen to my interview with the ambassador?
I did listen, but excuse me.
Well, don't put words in my mouth or say I didn't ask a question.
Let me ask you a question. Do you condemn the killing of those children by the IDF?
I tell you what I condemn.
Yes or no?
I'm going to answer your question honestly and truthfully.
Sure.
And because I've tweeted about this, right?
Oh, okay.
I think that what happened on October the 7th was one of the worst atrocities I have ever had to read about or watch on.
It happens every day in Palestine.
No.
So why do you care about that?
It actually doesn't. It doesn't.
It does actually. Yes.
No. The Israeli forces.
I've got the stats for that.
Israeli forces do not go.
Cast-led,
wait a minute,
protective
Mohammed.
edge. Go and check it out.
Mohammed. Israeli forces.
Cast-led, protective edge.
Israeli forces don't go into Gaza on one day and grab grandmothers and kill babies in their beds.
Okay.
And
hold on.
Rape and abuse women.
So, rape, is there any evidence for that?
It's been multiple reports in multiple mainstream media publications. Well, you can just sit here and deny everything.
No, I'm not denying anything.
You are.
No, I accept that some civilians have been killed. I do accept this. And I already said...
You don't believe any of the reports that women were raped?
No, I didn't say that. I said that it's still to be
do you think they were raped?
No, I don't know. It's like the Russell Brand thing. You said you don't know. You need to see the evidence. So why do you apply two different standards?
Okay, so
when it's Israel, we know they're raped. When it's Russell Brand, you don't know because you're friend.
No, it's been reported by legitimate news sources.
When it's Israel, you know they're raped. But when it's Russell Brand, you don't know.
Them.
When it's Russell Brand, you don't know if they're raped.
There's no comparison between Russell Brand and what's happening.
It's the same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why are you stuttering?
I'm not stuttering.
You are stuttering. You don't have anything to say.
You're contesting every single thing that I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
and I'm saying
to you,
at the end, 1,300 people were brutally
2,000 people have been killed on the other side.
Abused.
2,000 people have been killed on the other side.
I said that to the ambassador.
Okay, but do you condemn that, yes or no?
I don't think
so. You refuse to condemn?
No.
You do refuse to condemn?
Why are you putting words in my mouth?
Because you're not condemning it, are you?
What do you want me to condemn? Israel's
okay,
right.
Excellent. What do I want you to condemn?
Yes.
I want you to condemn the fact that the IDF, knowing that it's more probable than not, pressing buttons from the sky, killing innocent civilians, 1,000 of them children, that is a war crime and that is not acceptable morally. Just like you condemn the other one. Is it condemnable or not?
I believe, given the scale of what Hamas did on October the 7th, Israel is entitled to
kill children.
No, that's not what I said.
Go ahead.
They're entitled to defend themselves with force.
Okay, excellent.
Then the question becomes, Mohammed, it's an interesting debate.
Sure.
If, as it seems to me, you believe too, Hamas are not a force for good, do you believe that?
Well, I think that anybody who kills children and those elements of Hamas who are killing children...
Right, so we can agree. So we agree. So my point is,
your point.
If Israel's purpose is to rid the world of Hamas after the atrocity of October the 7th, how do they do that, given that Hamas embeds itself in civilian areas in the way that it does? Everyone knows that in Gaza.
Okay.
How do they do that in the surgically clean way that you seem to think they should be doing?
Okay, can I say...
How do you not kill civilians?
Beautiful.
I don't like any civilian death.
Do you mind if I answer the question?
I don't endorse any civilian death.
Well, no. You don't condemn it, though.
Hang on.
Yeah.
No, and here's why. Because I support Israel's right to defend itself.
Beautiful.
Now,
can I say something?
No, one more point. So then you can reply.
Sure.
But the question then becomes, what is proportionate?
Okay.
What is a proportionate response?
Okay.
I don't have the answer.
Excellent.
Because I don't know what a proportionate response to 1,300 murders is. When 260 young people at a music festival, most of them peace-loving people enjoying themselves at a festival, when they get slaughtered by people paragliding in with machine guns, I don't know what the proportionate response is.
Piers, let me respond to
So can you tell me?
You've spoken for about 2 minutes. You didn't do that with the ambassador. By the way, I'm just showing you, you're saying fair. But you're not being fair.
I've said
okay, so let me paint a picture.
I will be fair.
Sure.
I'm genuinely interested in what you have to say.
Right, excellent. You're from Irish descent. We know that there was an IRA in Belfast and so on. Okay, so let me ask you a question now. If there was IRA in Belfast and they were occupying council properties and so on, and then we have a plane of RAF going to destroy that council property, destroy all of Belfast, flatten it, as one representative said, Gottlieb. The IDF said that, one of the IDF members said that we will flatten it completely. That's what we want to do. We don't care about accuracy, he said. We care about damage. That's what he said. You didn't question her about that. But anyway, if the RAF were to then go into Belfast and flatten, as the IDF and these guys want to do, if they want to flatten Belfast with all the white people, I'm going to use the term white, all the white people, council estates living in there, with the excuse that we're doing it because it's proportionate defense to the terrorists. What would you say about that?
Here's what I would say to you.
Is that acceptable or unacceptable?
Here's what I would say to you.
Yeah.
The IRA committed a series of atrocities over numerous decades. They targeted, in their eyes, military and political targets. They usually gave some form of warning, not always.
Okay.
They
were terrorists.
No, they were terrorists.
Sure.
They never, ever went out one day and committed the barbaric slaughter of 1,300...
Irrelevant.
No.
If they did.
I'm sorry, it's not irrelevant.
If they did.
No, Mohammed.
If they did.
Here's why it's not irrelevant.
I don't know why you failed to answer the question, Piers Morgan. You should answer the question. Don't play around the bush and all that stuff, you know. Just answer the question directly. It's not about who they targeted. The IRA, I will still not call them a terrorist group. They're resistant fighters. I have many Irish friends. I have some Irish descent as well. So it's none of this nonsense that these people, they formed this whole organization, the Irish Republic Army, to resist the British occupation. It's a resistance group. Can't say they're terrorists. One man's terrorist group is another man's freedom fighter. It's ridiculous what you're saying. But the occupiers, they have no place to occupy someone else's land. No one has a right to break into your home. Imagine if it's your own home and someone broke into your home and they beat you up, tied you up, and then somehow they after they killing your family, raping your wife, and doing all these things, somehow you manage to get yourself free, and then you fight back. And the same criminal that done that and raped your family, raped your wife and daughter or whatever, I don't know if you've got a daughter, let's just say they attacked your family, and they call the police on you, and they say, look what he did. He punched me, he scratched me. Look at the scratch. And the police side with the criminals, the burglars, the thugs that entered your home, and they arrest you, the owner of the property. Is that justice? Is that fair? Who's the terrorist? Who's the criminal now? Would the police arrest you, or they arrest the criminals that entered your home? You have every right. You have the title deeds. It's your property. And they committed a crime against you, a crime against humanity. Who should be getting punished? The criminal or the victim? And what you're saying is that we should punish the victims, not the criminal, not the people that broke the law. And then there's no evidence at all, not even a shred of evidence that any of these allegations happened. And even if they did, let's just say one person went out of line and broke the rules and weren't complying to Islam. They were just acting on their own rage. They're trying to take revenge on those that persecuted them and punished them. Imagine if someone had seen someone that harmed their family, the rapist that raped his wife or raped his mother, and he wants to take revenge. And now he takes revenge against that person. Now, it's completely unjustifiable, and I totally disagree with such actions. You should always let the law take its action, and people should be, there should be law and order. You should capture that criminal and let law be applied on him. The legal system, or the law of the land, take its place. Not take the law in your own hands. I do not advocate that at all. However, let's be fair. This was just a human reaction. The person seen someone in the crowd that harmed his family. Now he wants to retaliate against that individual. He can claim insanity. You can say that he's lost his mind, and the kind of torture and the punishment that is perpetrated against the Palestinians day in, day out, every single minute of their life, surely would have an effect on their psyche. Surely someone out there would have an issue with making a clear judgment of what's right and wrong. And I'm not saying to you it's like a justification for someone to retaliate in such a way. If that happened, it's unacceptable. I totally agree with that. However, there is no a shred of evidence that this actually happened. All the evidence that Israel brought forward were all fabricated evidence. The only side that can justify and show real oppression, real violence, real crimes is the Palestinians. There are so many evidence. There's bodies scattered all over the place. You see it even in the news. You don't show the whole video on the news, in the mainstream. But it's out there in the public hands. It's being streamed all over the internet. The same barbaric behavior. They tell everybody, move to this safe haven, and then they bomb them on the route. They massacre them. And they call it collateral damage. They call it ethnic cleansing, purifying the area, as if they're getting rid of some insects. They're human beings. They're our brothers and sisters. But the whole state is a state built on terrorism. It's a terrorist cult. It came about through terrorist acts that were perpetrated before the British and during the British occupation of Palestine and after they got the land. They were perpetrating terrorist attacks against the British themselves and against the native population. That's the whole idea of Nakba as well. Nakba, catastrophe. It's the Holocaust of the Palestinians. Now we talk about the Holocaust, but we don't talk about the Nakba. Why? Why is it so? Why is there discrimination between types of people? Why do you only side with those who have the same skin color? Why do you only welcome those who are Scandinavian or Europeans, but you completely shun away from anyone that is too dark skinned? Why do you do that? We're all brothers and sisters. Why do we discriminate against other human beings? What is wrong with society now? We shouldn't be like that. We should love each other. We should respect our differences. We are different but equal. We all have our own traits and attributes. Does not mean that we're inferior in any way. There's no superiority in races. The white is not superior than the black, and the black is not superior than the white. Arab is not superior than non-Arab, and the non-Arab is not superior than the Arab. We're all equal. The only way that we can differentiate each other in value is from how beneficial we are to society. Just like an unskilled person, someone that didn't finish his education and goes out and works in a restaurant, and someone else decides to invest his life studying to become an engineer or a doctor. Spends money, time, effort, struggles a bit in his life, and then ultimately he achieves to get a job, start a business, struggles through failures and trials, and eventually he makes it. Now, you don't say, well, oh yeah, he got lucky, or why is he earning 10 times more than the person that's working in a supermarket? You don't question that. He put in the effort, he invested, and therefore the market's rewarding him now. That is why he's earning more, because he invested more in the beginning when he started his journey and his career and so on. So that's the way that the market will value someone that's invested or has some beneficial skill. The same way, you are more superior in the sight of God the more you are beneficial in society. The more people that you help out sincerely for the sake of God, because that's the purpose that God gave us. We are here to serve those who are less fortunate, try to bring them up. And you're supposed to love for other people, your brothers, your others, other human beings, because we're all brothers, more, and if not more than what you love for yourself, but at least what you love for yourself, you should love for other people. So as much as I want to be successful, I love for Mohammed Hijab to be even more successful. And I am proud of Mohammed Hijab. When he goes to newer heights, he achieves more success, whether it's academically, professionally, materialistically, it does not matter. I wish for him more success. And I wish for him and brothers like Mohammed Hijab that are carrying the message out there to achieve a higher rank in paradise than myself even. That's how much love I have for my brothers. And I wish for you, brother Piers Morgan, you're also my brother in humanity. And I wish for you guidance. I want you to be successful in this life and in the hereafter, because the hereafter is far more important, whether you believe in it or not. I want Allah to guide you, but I want you to start with yourself first by seeking guidance. And do justice for yourself, read the Quran, really investigate Islam with an open mind and an open heart. Don't discriminate, don't listen to racists, don't get your opinion from racist and prejudiced people and criminals and thugs and terrorists. Go get facts, go learn, go seek knowledge, and then God will guide you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you, inshallah, but you have to be sincere, you have to have a pure heart when you approach knowledge and seek guidance. That is if you are seeking, because you're not going to get guided unless you seek it. You have to seek it first. That's the secret to success. Okay, so I'll carry on, inshallah, God willing. I hope everybody else is watching, anyone that watches the video in the future enjoys this clips, and I hope I don't offend anyone, because I'm trying to be, you know, as sincere as I am in my heart. I'm just speaking from my heart right now. I hope no offense to anyone. Okay, enjoy the rest.
They never did.
But if they did, would you accept that? They don't have to flatten
by the way,
Belfast.
There were outrages committed by
the
loyalist paramilitaries too.
My question is,
here's my point.
They did, would you think it's acceptable?
They never came close to committing an outrage on that scale.
If they did, is it acceptable?
They never went in and kidnapped grandmothers or killed babies in cribs.
Is it acceptable or not?
They believe they were fighting for better or worse, and I believe for worse, and that's why I'm glad peace was found. They believe they were fighting political and military targets.
I'm trying to bring it closer to home to you.
You're trying to compare apples and oranges.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
It's you that's doing that.
The only comparison that I would say that we saw from October the 7th and what Hamas did is with ISIS.
Excuse me.
It's the only comparison.
Do you mind if let me ask you a question. A Palestinian...
And ISIS were taken out, by the way, with planes... No, here's my...
You didn't do this with the ambassador.
I'm going to finish.
You did this with Ben Shapiro, which you gave the show to him.
No, hang on. I'm giving you plenty of time.
No, you're not.
I'm giving you plenty. You asked about the analogy of a plane flying over and targeting...
But you didn't answer my question.
But that did happen, Mohammed, with ISIS.
Would you accept Belfast to be flattened
wait a minute.
or not? Yes or no?
Wait a minute. It never happened. So the like for like isn't relevant.
It's a hypothesis. It's hypothetical.
It's not. I don't do hypotheticals.
You don't do hypotheticals?
No, let's deal with reality.
Okay, let's deal with reality.
Mohammed, let me finish. Then you can answer.
You don't want to answer the question?
No. Here's the reality.
British public can see this.
Here's the reality, right? Let's just...
British public can see this.
Yeah, they can see it.
Yeah, go on.
They listen to the debate.
Keep going.
Right? For what it's worth, I think it's a good debate to have. Right? These are questions many people on the pro-Palestinian side are having. I get it, right? But you're trying to compare what happened on October the 7th with the IRA.
No, I'm not. I use the hypothetical
wait a minute, Mohammed.
question.
I'm comparing it to ISIS. And the way that the world in the end dealt with ISIS actually was to use airstrikes. And many civilians were killed.
There's a huge difference.
Many innocent people died.
They're not. You don't understand it because you have no idea of the religious...
What's the difference between what happened on October the 7th and ISIS?
The difference between the Palestinian resistance is the following, okay? Any kind of thing which has Palestinian resistance attached to it, and ISIS, which is a brand of takfirism, okay, is that ISIS is just one of many brands of takfirism, which you don't know what it is, which is a kind of excommunication type heresiological Islamic sect, okay? So if there's
it's nihilistic mass murder. That's all they care about.
Listen, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying something else.
You agree with me, don't you?
I do, but of course I do, but you're not understanding what I'm saying, so I'm trying to break it down.
I am understanding what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that anything...
And I'm not anti-Palestinian, by the way.
Sure, please, but...
Over the many years, if you bothered to check what I said about it, I have always tried to shine a light on the plight of the Palestinians.
Allow me to speak, please, because you're just talking over me. The difference between the two are the following, right? Even if we assume that the killing of combatants in most definitions of terrorism is something which brings someone to be a terrorist, okay? I would say that if that is the case, then the state of Israel breaks that threshold and meets that condition. Because why is Israel not a state terrorist? If their highest officials are admitting that we want damage and not accuracy. Answer me this question. Why is the state of Israel, who are illegally occupying Gaza and the West Bank according to international law, and even the ICJ said that, okay, which is, as you know, an organ of the UN, all right? So this is international law. They're occupying, they're seizing, they're bombarding, they're indiscriminately killing, and they're blocking the supply lines. They're using white phosphorus. They're doing what you call mowing the grass, which is every couple of years, every few years, they're killing the Palestinian people.
Let me
I want to understand what differentiates an Israeli in the sky pressing a button, killing the civilians, from somebody in any terrorist organization shooting the people. What differentiates it?
Israel will say it has a right to defend itself.
So will the terrorists? Right? That's what Osama bin Laden said.
And they will.
That's exactly Osama bin Laden's argument.
No, it's not though.
Yes, Hamas, it is. I read his fatwas.
Hamas aren't defending themselves. Bin Laden wasn't defending himself.
Define defense.
Bin Laden was trying to kill as many of the enemy as possible.
Let me ask you a question. How could it be that an occupier is defending itself in the first place? The notion that Israel is defending itself is as absurd as the notion that the rapist is defending itself from the victim. Because Israel is the occupier.
You haven't asked me.
Hold on.
Piers Morgan, what is wrong with you, mate? You know, I mean, honestly, the guy is very clear on that point. There's a criminal and there's a victim of a crime, and you are siding with the criminal here. You know, when the victim spits in the face of the rapist, you're now judging and you're arresting the victim, the raped victim, because she spat in the face of the raper, the perpetrator of the crime. Is that justice? He's making it very clear for you. He's just absolutely. I mean, if you get a 5-year-old, he would understand this argument very clearly, and he would not even argue against the statement that Mohammed Hijab clearly gave you. The example is very clear. It's crystal clear. You don't have to have a really high IQ to understand what Mohammed Hijab just proposed to you as an example. So please, I mean, come on, you know. You know, you're losing people's respect. Like he said, you know, the whole British, you know, the people are watching. They can see through this BS that's coming out. So you're looking bad right now, Piers Morgan. And if you respect yourself right now, you would like back off against this statement, because you understand clearly what it means. But you're trying to side with the bully because you're probably thinking about your career. Don't be like Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a complete sellout. He's fake. He goes where the money is. He sold his soul to the devil. Don't be like him. You know, come on, man. You know, like, please. Just answer that question, because it's very clear.
Excuse me, let me finish. Just let me finish. An occupier by international law definition means that they are already in an offensive posture. If they're in an offensive posture, if someone brings you to Piers Morgan, grabs you by the thing, throws you into your bathroom, yeah? You're in your bathroom, you're screaming and they're eating food, having a good time. One day you come out of your bathroom, you try and fight one of them, who's defending who from who?
Mohammed,
Who is self-defense? How can you self-defend when you're occupying? Answer me this question.
Let me speak now.
No, but answer the question.
Let me speak.
Answer the question first.
Fine, I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
Let me answer.
Yeah.
I believe that Israel's made a number of bad choices.
That's not answering my question.
Wait, I'm telling you what I think.
You're not answering my question.
I'm telling you what I think.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay? I don't think Israel's been perfect at all. Right?
You said they had the moral high ground.
I think a lot of the decisions Israel's taken are wrong. I think Benjamin Netanyahu, by the way, his attempts to usurp the power of the Supreme Court this year in Israel has been a complete disaster.
You condemn them from killing.
Here's a question for you, Piers Morgan. If you ever listen to this, I don't expect you to listen. I am a very small individual. Don't you think this could have been possibly a false flag operation? I mean, after all, Hamas was established by the Zionist state. They were supported, encouraged to take the position of authority in Gaza after they left. And then somehow, mysteriously, the people that were perpetrating this attack on civilians, as you claim. Let's just follow your story. And they had detailed maps of military compounds so they can carry out their operation very successfully. And at the same time, the guards of the towers. I mean, Israel is so advanced in technology. They can probably count the mosquitoes that are in the air. Don't you think that they have complete visibility on every little ant that walks in Gaza? Even just this one ant walking insects, they can count everything. And they didn't even notice anyone crossing or breaking the borders. Don't you think it's a little bit suspicious, like some sort of a false flag operation? Just like 9/11 was a false flag operation. Of course, if you have very low IQ, below 1, you might not think that. You might think it was perpetrated from Al-Qaeda, which was created by the US government, and Bin Laden was funded by the US. And yeah, you might believe that BS story. Yeah, very clearly it's a false flag operation. And this thing that happened in Palestine recently, the occupied territory, the territories around Gaza, all these settlers, don't you think they were allowed to be sacrificed for a particular cause? Don't you notice that suddenly no one's talking now about, the Netanyahu's trying to take power and control from the court system, and he's got all these corruption charges against him. Now no one's really talking about that anymore, and now people are more concerned about war, violence, revenge. It seems like a distraction to me, doesn't it? Could it possibly be that it's a false flag operation? And then there are claims that Egypt warned Israel, Jordan warned Israel, even Mossad, the internal secret service, warned. America warned them. Many countries warned Israel of an imminent attack, and Netanyahu office denied any warnings from anyone, and they claim it's some sort of a surprise attack. It's a bit suspicious, isn't it? It looks suspicious. I could be absolutely wrong. It might be a miracle from God that they managed to get through and do what they did. But it works in the best interest of Netanyahu, because Netanyahu wanted war, wanted to distract the civilians in Israel, irrespective of what they believed in, irrespective if they wanted war or peace. He wanted to unite everyone behind him so he can then look like a hero if he succeeds. But you know what? He's going to fall in a trap. He's going to massacre his own civilians for just his own interest. And at the end, he would lose the war. He would lose. He would be humiliated. And the whole economy is going to crash down. Now, the British, the Americans, they are fools to back him, because he's going to take them down with him. He's going down, and he's taking the whole world down with him. No one wins in war. Just remember that. The whole world's going to suffer from this war, this ground invasion. The whole world is going to suffer. And there will be uprisings everywhere. People are they've already lost confidence in governments. Doesn't matter which government it is. Because the innocent civilians are the people that are suffering. Inflation is going to shoot through the roof. The debt ceiling has gone beyond. Already the US is suffering. And it's not just, I'm not talking about the government suffering. The common folk. The Americans, Americans, they don't have any opinion about anything. They just want to live their life. They want their freedom to enjoy life, work, earn, eat, sleep, just have a good time. They're the ones who are going to suffer. The middle class are going to suffer. Everyone, everywhere in the world is going to suffer because of this immature actions that are going on right now. We need to hold back and stop the whole rage that's inside us, the revenge and all this negative energy, and stop that and walk away from it. And said, no matter what they do, or someone that perpetrated a crime against us, we'll take revenge against that individual, not do a collective punishment. If, for example, let's just say I have a cousin who's a criminal. He committed murder, hypothetically. Would it be fair because the police couldn't catch my cousin who killed someone? Let's just say an example. And they come and arrest me and say, well, you guys are related, aren't you? You're his cousin, right? So your cousin X, killed someone and we can't catch him. We can't find him. So what we'll do, we'll just kill you, your mother, your other brother, and you know what? Who else is alive from your family? Let's just go after everyone. Let's just kill the whole street. Just because we can't catch one criminal. Is that fair? Is that how the justice system works? Someone else has to pay the price for someone else's crime? Is that how it works? Is that how the British law system works? Absolutely not. So why are we applying it there? Why is Israel indiscriminately killing every single human being, irrespective of their faith, irrespective of their ethnicity or their nationality, or what if they're a dual national? Why are they massacring everyone? Why are they not applying, international law? Why don't they have limits? Why don't they respect their own conditions? So when they tell people we need to evacuate this particular area and this is the safe corridor, go to the south. Why don't they even respect the rules that they set, the conditions that they set? They don't even respect that. They start targeting innocent civilians. And they know exactly that particular individual is a child. Why did you kill the kids? These are kids. 50% of the population in Gaza are children. Babies. I was talking to a Zionist just a few days ago. He's a Zionist. He's still my friend and everything, but we were having a nice discussion. And I was telling him, why are you targeting children? You know what he told me? He said to me, because that kid's going to grow up and become a terrorist. How can you judge someone? It's like you're judging someone that doesn't have a clue about anything, doesn't even know how to feed himself, does not even know how to change his own nappies. And you've already made the decision that when he grows, he's going to be a terrorist. How can you make such a decision? Oh, well, he's a descendant of a terrorist. How is that possible? So you're telling me if your grandfather was like a criminal, a gangster, then all these descendants are also going to have a life of crime? And you're just going to put everyone in prison because someone has a descendant that happens to be a criminal? Well, you know what? I have a descendants also from Jesse James, who's a very known outlaw. Some distant connection. So does that mean that I'm also a criminal? Does that mean that I'm an outlaw? Now, I don't believe Jesse James was an outlaw. But hypothetically, is that like you say you say someone up in the chain of ancestry committed a crime, then you should punish everybody descendant from that chain or that genetics. Then we all should be in prison. Because I'm sure somewhere along someone else's ancestry, there are someone that broke the law in some, maybe even 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. Who knows? So you can't just punish people based on their genetics or ancestors or relative or someone else's crime or someone that committed a crime on this street. So you just collectively punish everybody. That is pure racism. They're using it as an excuse to ethnically cleanse an whole area. Same ideology, once again, of the Nazis. Same ideology as the Ku Klux Klan. To target blacks. The only difference is we're just changing races. That's all it is. Instead of the Jews are being targeted now, it's no longer the Jews that are being the target of crime. It's now the Muslims are targets of crime. The Palestinians are being targeted as crime. For this ethnic cleansing, this racist attack. Instead of the blacks are now being targeted, you're just replacing it with a different race. That's all it is. Next you'll be the Chinese, next you'll be the Indians. It's absolutely wrong way. You're just always looking for differences between people and use that as the next enemy that you should target. It's totally unacceptable. This is not a way for peace. You should never fight racism with more racism. You should never fight crime with committing crime. Well, you rob my house, or I'll do is I'll rob your house. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, does it? You committed a crime, therefore I'm going to go commit a crime. Absolutely not. There should be law and order. We're supposed to be civilized. We should always look for a peaceful resolution. If someone committed a crime, let the law play its role. The legal process take its place. We should follow that. We should respect, the law. We shouldn't break the law. You can't take the law in your own hands. So that's just little pieces here. I'm going to carry on watching. I think the live stream is about to end, so I didn't take too much. But yeah, I mean, if people feel that I talk too much, you can always skip the parts that I talk and my personal opinion. If you want to hear my opinion, go ahead. I really respect that because you can correct me if I'm wrong. And I respect constructive criticism. I actually respect when people tell me that I'm wrong, but give me evidence. Don't give me BS. Don't just say I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong, where I'm wrong, and show me the evidence that back up your claims. Don't just make up stories, and don't give me some article somewhere and say, oh, I've got this contract that was, the British Belford, he gave this document to us that said this land is ours. Well, who was Belford anyway? It wasn't his land. He didn't sell you his property. He took someone else's property and gave you that property of someone else. He had no right to give you that access to that property. He had no right to give you someone else's land. So it's an illegal sale. People can't just come and say, okay, you see that street down the road? Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you that street. I'm gonna give you that property on that street. It now belongs to you. Okay, are you the owner? No. So what relation do you have to that particular property on this particular road? Nothing. But I'm just going to give it to you as a gift. Well, it wasn't yours in the first place to give away. So that's an illegal contract. It's an illegal agreement. I mean, it won't stand ground. So it's a complete occupation. It's an occupation. And these people, whoever they are, not Hamas, the resistance, the Palestinian resistance, the people that are fighting for their freedom, they have every right to defend themselves, every right to protect their land, to free their land from the occupation. And just like Salah ad-Din, when he was fighting the Crusaders and he liberated Jerusalem, he didn't seek revenge against anyone. He didn't tell people just pack your bags and leave. You don't belong here anymore. People lived in peace and harmony. If they want to integrate to society, you're more than welcome. But now the land is liberated. Everybody's welcome to live. No one's telling anyone to move out, settlers to leave the land. If you lived there 50 years, you know, okay, you built new settlements. But Palestinians need to be compensated. They need to be compensated for everything they've suffered. They need to get back their land. But all the new guests that came to the land, the occupiers, they will be now our guests, they will be now our brothers and sisters. We'll accommodate them. They'll be treated equally, respected. They're our guests. And they're welcome to continue staying and living and growing. No one's going to kick anyone. No one's going to seek revenge. And even according to the Christians and according to the non-Muslims that created films such as Kingdom of Heaven, look at the treatment of Salah ad-Din when he entered Jerusalem. He ordered his soldiers, no civilian to be harmed, no churches to be destroyed, no religious places to be destroyed. Everyone, we are now in peace. And he cleaned the church. If you watch the film, watch the Kingdom of Heaven again. Watch it. It's not according to the Muslims, by the way. It's according to Christians, according to non-Muslims. They made that film. And look what they say about Salah ad-Din Ayyubi when he conquered Jerusalem, or liberated Jerusalem, in other words. And what the Freemasons were doing, the Knights Templars were doing, raping and killing and massacring, creating rivers of blood. It's disgusting, isn't it? Is that human behavior, to go in someone's land and just massacre people, abuse people, take advantage and exploit the weak and vulnerable? Is that human behavior? Is that human behavior what Israel is doing? The occupied state, the terrorist occupied state? Is that human behavior? For sure, they are the human animals. For sure, that's what they are, because that's what they came from. They were founded on that principle of racism, ethnic cleansing. It's disgusting. It's totally unacceptable. It's totally against the Torah. Even law-abiding Jews stand up against them. All these rabbis protesting against the state of Israel. Why? Because it goes against the teaching of the Torah. It goes against their ethnicity. They're supposed to be human beings. They're supposed to be law-abiding. No one's against a race. Like I told you, I am part Jew as well. I'm part Egyptian, part Scottish, part British, part from the land where they now call Saudi Arabia. I have many descendants from all over the world. You name it, Albania, Greece, Turkey, North Africa. Because I have family from all over the place. So does everybody else. It's not a surprise that I have ethnicity that belongs all over the world. Because once upon a time, we all lived side by side in peace and harmony, and we all respected each other. Jews, Christians, Muslims, they all lived side by side. No one asked anyone, what's your belief? What's your way of life? You know, if people want to do whatever they want in their personal life, behind closed doors, do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, mate. But don't impose it on me. We respect each other. We don't cross each other's privacy or boundaries. We don't spy on each other. We respect each one's privacy. If you want to learn, you can ask questions. I'll give you answers, but not debate, not argue. I'm not trying to convince you and you're trying to convince me that your way of life is better than my way of life. No one does that. Everyone has their way of life. And at the end, God is the judge. Because only God, He's the one that gave us life. And only He has the right to take life. So no one can take anyone's life unjustly. Yeah? So that should be clear. Instead of saying, do you condemn this or condemn that, or do you agree with this and do you agree with that, do you support this group or do you support that? None of this nonsense. It's all immature questions. You know, this is not acceptable. And I think Mohammed Hijab is doing a fantastic job, a real fantastic job. I'm very proud of the brother. MashaAllah, Barakallah Feek, Mohammed Hijab. Fantastic job. You know, I had some really prudent questions, real good points, real good, fantastic examples. And Piers Morgan was running away. he was escaping. He was panicking. He lost his cool. And he was trying to hide it. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, he's got his master to please. The people that are giving him the job, that are hiring him, he has to please them. He can't look like he's being defeated. So he has to pretend as if he's fighting back. But he hasn't got a leg to stand on. He's wobbling. So it was a boxing match. He's already knocked out. He's unconscious. He's just there standing. He's leaning against the ropes and he's already knocked out. But he doesn't want to fall down. He's just trying to hang on the rope. But he's unconscious and he's getting a beating right now. If this was a boxing match, this is what it's like right now. Piers Morgan's already knocked out. He got knocked out in the first few seconds. He got knocked out already. And now he's not there. He can't fight back. So he's just wobbling. His legs are wobbling. He's about to collapse on the ground. And I wish I'm wrong, man, but that's how it's looking to me. And if I was watching a boxing match right now, you're already out. You're already out. You've already lost the match from the very beginning. Once you started stuttering and losing your cool, that's it. You've lost it. And you started shouting and coming up with all these bogus claims about allegations of rape and kids being chopped in head and all that stuff. Absolutely disgusting. I can't believe this sort of thing could have happened. And so far, every single authorized spokesman have denied it. According to the White House, according to IDF, according to even the mainstream media of the Israeli channels, a lot of them actually denied it. Only very few that use it as evidence. And they've proven that it's actually fabricated. So you can't believe a liar, a perpetual liar. So if any information comes to you, you need to go and verify it. You can't just accept it. You have to verify that information. And if the news is coming from you from a perpetual liar, you're supposed to get more and more suspicious about that particular source. Not just accept it just because it fulfills your agenda. Anyway, I've said my piece. Let's carry on. The stream is about to finish soon anyway.
Think civilians or not?
I do not. I will defend them this week.
Yes or no?
Wait.
Yes or no?
I will defend them this week in defending themselves against one of the worst terror attacks ever.
So you can kill civilians for that?
You can target Hamas.
Can you target? No, hold on.
And if Hamas, the controlling, governing, ruling body in Gaza, hide amongst the public,
this is a false.
Members of the public will die.
You're talking about fallacies. This is called the Moat and Bailey fallacy, which is that you're trying to defend one controversial idea by using another. It's Moat and Bailey fallacy. You can check it up in your own time. The point is this. I'm not asking you whether Israel has a right to defend itself. We've already said of the logical and legal impossibility, of an occupying power according to international law of actually defending itself because it's already, let me finish. It's already in an offensive posture. Now I'm saying this, if it is the case, you're just saying it's defending itself against Hamas, is the only way to defend itself against Hamas by dropping bombs in the most densely populated area, one of the most densely populated areas in the world? Is that the only way? It's a false dichotomy. You're creating a false dichotomy. They can do surgery. They can do insurrection. They can go in and they can target.
We're going to take a short break. I'm going to keep you here. I want to finish this. I want to give you the time. I think it's an important debate, an important conversation.
Sure. But you have to answer my questions.
I will. We'll come back. Yeah, but actually, you have to answer mine. It's my show. Actually,
I can answer
for the record. You can ask me as many questions as you want, but I'll tell you what I think.
I've answered all your questions.
We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and we're going to finish with a few more minutes. Okay.
Okay, so they got about 2-minute break there. I'm just going to watch the time. Again, Piers Morgan, I think you lost that completely. I'm not just siding with Mohammed Hijab here, but I'm just speaking the truth. If you had some valid points, I would respect you. But yeah, unfortunately, I completely disagree with you on all the points that you've made so far. And I think you're just taking a side. You're being biased against Muslims and Arabs and Palestinians, and you're siding with the perpetrator of crime, the criminal, the terrorist. You're siding with the terrorists. That's what you're doing right now. You're not being fair at all. And like you were just saying about Mohammed Hijab, you know, he's the guest on the show. You're supposed to be, it's your show and you should be asking questions. But what I'm seeing here is that Mohammed Hijab is the one that's asking you questions and you're not answering the questions. You're giving him a lecture about, you know, Israel has a right to defend itself and all this nonsense. And he's already told you that's a false dichotomy. And it's impossible to do that because they are the invaders, they're the occupiers. It's the Palestinian land. And Jews were living there way before. Even Golda Meir was a Palestinian. She had a Palestinian passport, which tells you straight away that this land was called Palestine before that. And Jews do belong in Palestine. No one's denying that. Jews belong all over the world. They lived in Egypt. They lived all over the world. Until today, there are Jews around the world. It's not just in Israel or the occupied territory. They live all over the world. And like I told you, many Palestinians are also ethnically Jew. The victims are also ethnically Jew. So it's nothing to do with that Jew race. Nothing to do with that at all. And if you didn't even know, Afghanis descended from Harun, the brother of Harun, you know, the brother of Moses. The descendants of his brother are nowadays the Afghanis, the people in Afghanistan, the people that you call them Taliban and stuff. They're the descendants of Harun, the brother of Moses. So, but that's not about that point. It doesn't matter what race you belong to. You don't have to be a human being if you have an ethnically Jewish ancestry. It's not about that. We are all humans. We are all superior race. We have our own superpowers, if you want to put it that way. We all have our special, unique abilities. Now, I think it's about to start, so let's just get away from it. It's counting down to 8 now. I'm going to shut up and let you listen.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan says, well, Mohammed Hijab is still with me. Mohammed, we've had a lively debate. I knew it would be a lively debate. This is a very important issue. It's a passionate issue. People on both sides. You know, if I tweet about anything, doesn't matter what I say. One side, if I'm even remotely sympathetic to them, the other side, poor abuse and vice versa and so on. Let's try and cut through it all and get to what happens here. How do we find peace in the Middle East? I've been covering Israel-Palestine since I've been a journalist, 3 decades. And it seems to me we're as far away now as we've ever been. How do you think we get to a place?
Very simple answer, Piers Morgan. If you're sincere about the answer, dismantle the apartheid state. That's it. Dismantle the apartheid state. Treat everyone as equal human beings. Very simple answer. Respect all the human race. Respect everybody. Allow the Palestinians for equal rights as the Jews and other races that exist in Palestine. I'm not telling you to change the country name. I'm not asking you to have a 2-state solution. Divide the country in half even. Give half to Jews and half to Arabs. This is absurd. We all belong together. We should live together. We should cooperate together. And like I told you before, we all belong to the human race and we're supposed to complete each other. We all have our unique traits and attributes. We're not asking for segregation. We're asking for integration. Cooperate, unite together for peace and harmony. I'm not asking you to turn or take revenge on anyone. Just to respect everyone. Everyone to respect everyone. And have the rule of law applied on everyone equally. Not that if a Jew rapes a Palestinian, he goes scot-free, he doesn't get punished. And if it was vice versa, he gets killed, he gets tortured. I'm not saying Palestinians do that, because they're the most, I can't really describe it. I mean, these people, I respect them. I look up to Palestinians. They're the bravest of the bravest. I've never seen braver men than Palestinians. They're admirable. Sometimes I wish I was born in Gaza. Sometimes I wish I lived in Gaza or was there at the time, this time now, and die amongst my brothers and sisters, defending the land. It's a sacred land, it's a holy land. It's a great honor for anyone, great privilege to be in this situation right now. No matter how much of suffering that they're going through, I wish I was in their situation. And if people know the reward that these people will get in the hereafter, the ranks in heaven they will go. Everybody will wish they were Palestinians and suffering and being occupied and persecuted in such a evil way by these Zionist terrorists, because the reward that they'll get in the hereafter is huge, and people will wish to die 1 billion times for this amazing reward. They will ask God, please send us back so we can die fighting and defending this land again and again and again. It's a great honor and a privilege for the situation that they're in. I'm not saying they should suffer, because their dead from the Israelis are in hellfire. And the Palestinians that are dying, the innocent civilians that are dying right now, they're in paradise. And the terrorists from the Zionist forces, they're in hellfire. They're roasting. I can't even say roasting like pigs. I can't even say that because it will be an insult to a pig. They're even worse than the pigs. They're worse than animals. And let's use their language, human animals. That's their behavior. Because only an animal would behave with rage and anger and revenge. Human beings should be civilized. Should be able to restrain their anger, hold back, and not take revenge. They're supposed to calm down, control their anger, and think over their reaction before they take it. But Netanyahu wants blood. He's bloodthirsty, and he wants to drag the whole world down with him. When he's going down, he wants to take the whole world down with him. He's doing a self-detonation. He's doing a suicide mission right now. He's going to kill everybody. And he's going to bring the whole Western world, not just the Western world. He's going to bring the whole world down. Cause destruction. Even people that have nothing to do with this, conflict, they're going to go down. They're going to suffer because of his action, Netanyahu's thing. So first thing, get rid of Netanyahu. Bring someone that has a higher IQ, respectful, respects all human life. Dismantle the occupation, dismantle the apartheid state, remove the barriers, remove all this stuff. Ask all the resistance in Palestine to come to a table. Let's negotiate, let's talk, a peaceful resolution. You get compensated for the suffering that your grandparents have gone through. We'll compensate you. If your land has been stolen, we'll pay you, like a compensation for the land that's lost or the property that's lost. And you have every right to stay in this land, work, equal rights, equal human life, and equal human rights to everyone, irrespective of their, your belief or way of life or your ethnicity. You're all welcome. Integrate everybody together. There won't be any violence. And if anyone breaks the law, they'll get punished by the law. If anyone commits a crime, they'll be punished. Even capital punishment, doesn't matter. If someone committed murder after this truce between all of us, you'll get punished in whichever way the law would apply. In that land, the law of the land will apply. But we need to all come together and come up with a solution of peace, coexistence, and start understanding that we all originated from Adam. Therefore, we're all one family. We should not be trying to look for our differences. We should not segregate based on our ethnicity or race or gender or whatever. We should all cooperate together for the common good of the whole human race. That is the solution, Piers Morgan. Now, I want to hear what Mohammed Hijab has to say. I'm sure he's got better points to share. So let's just hear what Mohammed Hijab has to say about that point.
Right, look, even Hamas, some 4 or 5 years ago, they even agreed to the 1967 lines, the borders. And what you have to understand, that this cannot be scapegoated on Hamas, because before Hamas's existence, this was still going on. This was going on before Israel's existence.
But do you believe in a two-state solution?
No, I believe in, look, even Hamas was proposing a two-state solution.
But do you believe in it?
Look, there's advantages and disadvantages. This is a different, I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult one.
Could you imagine two states next to each other living in peace? Palestine.
Two-state solution is possible. You could do it in stages. You can have a two-state, and then eventually, I believe that we shouldn't have any borders between us. I believe everybody is welcome in every country. Jews are welcome in Egypt, for example. Egyptians are welcome in Palestine, or if you want to call it Israel, call it Israel. It doesn't matter, but it has to be an Israel for everybody, not just for a ethnic group of people. It can't be just a Jewish state. They can have the Jewish law applied, the Torah, for the Jews, the people that follow the Torah. Equally, they should allow for schools for Muslims, schools for Christians, or schools for secular schools for people that don't believe in any religion. They should allow everyone to form their own community. But does not mean that you should separate. We should cooperate together for a common good. We should respect our differences, learn from each other, have respectful dialogues, share opinions openly. We can, at the end, agree to disagree respectfully without resulting to violence. That's fine. We all look at the same problem and we have a solution, different solutions, because we're looking at the problem from different angles. So we should respect each other's opinion. Perhaps we can find a better solution if we each share our solutions and we find something that's common ground that could work for everyone. If not, we can still have a solution and apply different rules based on what our beliefs are separately, and not cross each other's boundaries and say my way of life is the best way. We can find solutions, but we have to come to the table with the intention that we want a peaceful resolution. Not come to the table and try to grab land or look for our own selfish interests. We should be coming to the table and saying, well, how can I serve the other counterparty? What can I bring to the table? And if each person comes with something to contribute, to share, then there'll be enough for everybody. Everybody could coexist together. So I don't quite believe that division or separation or creating borders and creating new countries and that kind of stuff is a solution. But if you feel after the dialogue between all the counterparties around the table that, perhaps things are quite tense, perhaps if we divide and we have two states, this could be one step forward. Go for it. Do a two-state. Have Palestine, Israel, and different borders, and they're all peaceful. It's a different country. And if the whole global international community was to recognize that, fine, that's it. It's all respect. We respectfully split, like two people are getting divorced. They don't have to force them to live together. If they're not getting along, and now the final solution is let's get divorced, you go to your home, or you find another abode, and I stay in a different house and whatever. And that's the only way to split. And it's better for her and it's better for me. So yeah, you go for the divorce as a final result. But I don't believe in divisions. I believe in unity, cooperation. So I always try to find resolutions to issues like that and look for ways to stay together in a respectful way rather than splitting up. But if you feel this will be for the best interest of both parties, have a two-state solution. Have the divorce. That's fine. And there can be peace. They can peacefully coexist, separate sovereign states. That's fine. And then maybe one day in the future, a few generations down the road, they might say, hey, why do we have this division between us? Why do we have this border? Let's bring down the border. Just like, the Berlin Wall, dividing East Germany with West Germany. Let's just bring down that wall. We're all Germans. Let's just come together. Maybe that can one day happen as well. Inshallah, God willing. But that's my opinion. You know, I don't know what's your opinion, Piers Morgan. I'm still hearing now Mohammed Hijab's opinion. He's saying, well, he doesn't have an opinion on that, but he did explain that, you know, it is possible to have peace. We're not trying to eradicate an ethnic group. Anyone that thinks that way are racist, and you can't fight racism with more racism. You can't set up a racist ideology because you're fighting another racist ideology. That's not the way to go. And this whole thing, the Zionists, they came about to as a way to come and negotiate with the Nazis. So they cooperate with the Nazis. There's even books written about this sort of stuff, like 50 agreements between the Nazis and the Zionists. There's a book. If you go on Amazon, search for 50 agreements, secret agreements, 50 secret agreements between the Nazis and the Zionists. It's out there. The information is public information. It's not like top secret information. It's published information. So let's investigate these things. You know, if people believe in some ideology, like a racist ideology, these are the people that are supposed to be banned. These are the people that should be blacklisted. And the first thing the British can do is place the Zionist ideology as part of a terrorist organization. Because that's what they are. They're a terrorist organization. No one should normalize with a terrorist organization, such as the Nazis or the Zionists or the fascists. And people shouldn't do that. They should normalize and recognize states that are based on mutual respect for everyone. Human life matters, you know, respect for all human life, that kind of stuff. These are the respectful, civilized countries and nations that respect all human life, that are open for everyone. Not recognize a terrorist organization just because they control the media and control the banks and control the world and all that stuff. They pull the strings in politics and they manipulate, they rig the voting system and that kind of stuff. And if you don't support them, then you're not going to get in power, and you might lose your job because the boss at the top is a Zionist anyway. So you're trying to, you know, please everyone and be a yes man to everyone and side with the bully instead of speaking up against the injustice and corruption that goes on in your organization. It's supposed to be a man. Doesn't matter if people harm you. You know, don't live like a coward. At least die like a brave man. You know, this is what is important. I know all the brave people end up dead, and I always get told, you know, live like an ant, you eat sugar. That's the sort of thing that I hear from those who are older than me. You know, I always tell you how, you know, all the brave people that end up dead. Look at Malcolm X, look at Martin Luther King, look at all the people that speak out and say the truth. Yes, they're good men. But what happened to them at the end? They got killed, they got shot, they got assassinated. But if you're a coward, you live. You get to live. You live until you're old and you die a natural death. Who wants to die a natural death as a coward? Only cowards do that. And I'm not an ant to be a coward so I can have some sugar. I'm not an ant in any way. Sugar is poison. It's addictive like heroin. And it's bad for your health. So why are you telling me about live like an ant and you eat sugar? You enjoy some sweetness in your life. You enjoy life. I'm not an ant. I'm a warrior. I'm a brave man. I have to stand up for truth. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of being persecuted or anything, just for speaking the truth, saying what's right. And if someone disagrees with me, I respect it if you show me some evidence. Show me the facts. Show me that agreement that God's claim that you are a superior race above everybody else. Because God definitely is not a racist. He created all of us equal. So there's absolutely no way you'll be able to convince me otherwise. It's complete nonsense, fabrication. You fabricate the title deeds and you claim this is evidence of your ownership of the property. You fabricate images and evidence and you expect me to believe it? No way. So if you want to speak to me, you have my contact details in the description. I put all the details regarding the channel, Piers Morgan as well, and TalkTV. So, you know, I put down also the original video if you want to watch directly without disruption from me. I don't mean to disrupt every once in a while, but I like to also give my, you know, my opinion here and there, my personal opinion, how I see things. But my personal opinion so far, it's a false flag operation. I could be completely wrong. Only time will tell. With time, we'll know if it was a false flag operation. But, you know, there are so many units. Israel has so many units, and they reported this. There could be a potential attack, and they already hacked certain systems, and they had evidence that something's about to take place. But the Netanyahu office, the current government, turned a blind eye because they said, perhaps this could work in our interest. I wonder if we let this through, let them, you know, do whatever they want to do for a few hours. Let's have some delay, and then we'll move in. And then we'll have some justification and call it Pearl Harbor and 9/11. And they mention this all the time in the media. I wonder why. Pearl Harbor was also a false flag operation. And so was 9/11. Two events that took place in history, and both were false flag operations. Isn't that a hint that perhaps with high probability, let's say 90% probability, that this was also a false flag operation and not just a surprise attack? And perhaps there were even Hamas fighters. Perhaps there were even, you know, these far right, you know, disguised as Hamas fighters and stuff. I've never seen Palestinians that are black. Maybe there are, but some of these fighters, they seem to look a bit foreigners, like foreigners. They don't belong to the land. I wonder where they came from. Very strange. And they had detailed maps of military compounds, and these were top secret. So I wonder who passed these maps on to them. So many unanswered questions, and I feel, in my opinion, it was a false flag operation, and Netanyahu betrayed his own people. He betrayed his own people so he can create a unity government for war, a war cabinet to attack and ethnic cleanse and take revenge on the Palestinians. And when they're finished with the Palestinians, next hit will be Egypt, in my opinion, and then Iraq. And that will be the greater Israel. That is the plan they're planning. They're looking first at Egypt and then Iraq. Or they might be doing those two countries simultaneously, and the two countries that are not in war with Israel. So this whole thing about Iran, Lebanon, Syria, I think this is also a distraction. So I could only tell one thing to the Egyptians: be aware, something big is about to happen on your border from the same enemies of the Palestinians. Maybe another false flag operation. Maybe some attack from Sena, and claim that they're being attacked from some bogus enemy that they invented, so they can then pull Egypt into a full-scale war and then expand their territory, take back Sena, take back even up to the Nile. That's my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but that's their agenda. They're forcing people to move across the border. They're pushing people across, and eventually they'll push even more, and they'll push even more, and they'll never stop, because they thrive on terror. They thrive on blood, on ethnic cleansing, and they will never stop until they massacre everyone in the world. And if they ever massacre 2 billion Muslims, guess who's next? It'd be anyone else that exists. Chinese, Indians. They'll always find a new enemy. And eventually, that same dog that you're backing right now is going to turn on you, and is going to bite the hand that fed them. The Americans, the British. They're going to bite your hand. They're going to attack you, because they won't have any enemies, so they have to invent a new enemy. So we need to stop that terrorist group called the Zionists. We need to stop the occupation. That's the solution. We have to end and dismantle the apartheid state. That is the solution, Piers Morgan. That is the solution for peace. Not eradicate Israel off the map, like you say in the media, like Iran wants to wipe out all the Jews. Well, this is absolute nonsense. I don't know what Iran's intentions are, but I'm sure they wouldn't have said these things. Maybe you misunderstood their statement. I'm not on the side of Iran or anything like that, but I don't know their opinion on this. But I don't think anyone's thinking along the lines of, you know, exterminating the Jews or any of this nonsense. No one's doing that. They're our brothers. They're from the same human race. They're also human. They're law-abiding. Any law-abiding citizen, any law-abiding human being is my brother, my brother, sister, irrespective of gender or race or creed or way of life. Doesn't matter. We're all one family. You know, we're all different. No one's inferior. Doctors need engineers. Engineers need mechanics. Mechanics need, you know, school workers and care workers and supermarket workers, nurses. We're all interdependent. We all need each other. We shouldn't be looking down upon anyone. We should look at everyone with respect and dignity and valuable. Everyone is valuable in society as long as they're law-abiding. If they break the law, of course, you don't respect them. You know, you put them in prison, you let the law take its course, you know, follow the legal process. But everybody else, legal, law-abiding citizens in the world, respect them. Doesn't matter about the education level. We all have a different test in life. We all have a different purpose. Some of us might do, you know, well academically, professionally, and so on. I did multiple degrees, so you know, I don't like to boast about what I did, or what Mohammed Hijab did as well. You know, he's highly educated man. So I respect that. And that's what Islam teaches us, in case I didn't mention it before. The first word that came down was Iqra. Iqra means read, recite, proclaim, teach, share knowledge. So knowledge is very valuable for the Muslims. One of the things that we have to do, we always have to learn, and then we have a responsibility to teach others, share knowledge. So it's very important. It's part of our faith to learn, and not just learn religious knowledge, yeah. Learn anything that's beneficial. So learn mathematics, learn different languages, learn technical skills, and then teach it, share that knowledge, help others. You learn something so you can benefit society. That's the purpose of learning. It's not so you can get a certificate that you can hang on a wall, but to benefit society, to benefit the world. That is our purpose, Mr. Piers Morgan, just to let you know, in case I didn't mention it before. Okay, let's just complete the video. It's almost finished. I think there's only 2 or 3 minutes left to the interview with brother Mohammed Hijab. And yeah, we'll make some comments at the end. But I think I pretty much covered a lot of the bases here. I hope I'm being clear and the sound quality is clear anyway. And I hope I have not discriminated against anyone or upsetting anyone with my opinion. But sometimes the truth hurts. The truth sometimes hurts. People don't want to know the truth. They can't handle the truth, like Tom Cruise said in Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. Let's see now.
Israel.
Look, it's a possibility. I mean, as I say, even Hamas was saying that that's a possibility. I mean, this was 4 years ago. But what I want to bring to your attention is that nothing can happen if the international body or the UN becomes a toothless agency. In 2018 to 19, when actually 221 people were killed on a peaceful protest in Gaza. It was called the Great March of Gaza. 220 people died. Hamas didn't shoot a bullet. No rocket was launched, yeah? So 220 people died, and this is...
Oh, just another point, Mohammed Hijab, sorry to interject there. Yeah, in that peaceful march, Israeli soldiers targeted innocent civilians, unarmed civilians. If you didn't know this, Piers Morgan, and around about 3,000 men, unarmed men, got amputated. They lost their legs. They lost arms. They lost limbs. How? Because Israeli soldiers opened fire on them. Innocent, unarmed civilians. Now, is that your definition of terrorism? Because I don't know. If that isn't terrorism, I don't know what is terrorism. I don't know what would you call terrorism. And this is a peaceful march. unarmed civilians, and the Israelis opened fire on them, opened live bullets on them, targeted position firing on their limbs, on their knees, arms. 3,000 innocent civilians had been amputated. Is that fair, Piers Morgan? Now, this is not an armed resistance. This is a peaceful resistance. People are just voicing their opinion. They didn't even allow them to march. And they massacred innocent civilians. You're on the wrong side, mate. Wake up. You're on the wrong side. You're sided against the servants of Satan. So if you're even a Christian, I don't know, what do you believe in? You have to be a Satanist to be back in Israel now. After all the massacres they've did. It makes me angry. It makes me sick. Disgusted by anyone that supports these Nazis, these pathetic human beings. I'm not even going to call them humans. I'm sorry to even call them humans. Scum. Because that's what they are. They are terrorists in every form of I don't know what to say. I hope you get the message clear. These are the terrorists. It's a terrorist state, and this needs to be dismantled, my friend. And if you support them in any way, then you got blood on your hands too. That is what you're supporting. That is what the taxpayers are supporting. Indirectly, of course. People are not aware. I'm not telling you to stop paying tax. I'm not telling you to do that. But you have to be aware. You have to lobby your government. You have to tell your government, we don't accept our money to be squandered in such a way to support criminals abroad, to massacre innocent human beings. Enough is enough. People need to stand up against tyranny. What's the point to live without freedom? You know, it's not about that. We need freedom. We need to live in peace, security, and irrespective if the attack isn't on the British civilians, we should care because they're our brothers in humanity. You don't have to be a Muslim to be a pro-Palestinian. You don't have to be a Muslim to be pro-life. You just have to be a human being. And unfortunately, these Nazis, these Zionists, these racist, white supremacists, people that subscribe to eugenics and reducing the world population, they're subhuman. That's what they are. And that is why they use the language such as human animals. Because they are the animals. They're the sub-animals. I hope it's clear, Piers Morgan. Okay, I'll let Mohammed Hijab carry on.
Even mentioned by the UN and these kind of agencies, they tried to bring it up, the Palestinian Authority, they tried to bring this up to what we call the ICJ, which is part of the UN, okay? What happened is the Donald Trump administration, they threatened to freeze the assets of the ICJ, which tells you the following. What are the Palestinian people to do? Because the fact of the matter is, if they try and bring it up...
Let me ask you...
let me finish the point.
So when they tried to follow the legal process, what happened? Donald Trump blocked Palestinians from seeking legal action against the crimes committed against them. Peaceful civilians raising the case. It's like a raped victim goes to the police and complains and saying, well, I've been raped and here's the perpetrator. She names the perpetrator and the police just brushes it aside and says, no, we're not going to file this case at all. In fact, what we'll do, we will arrest you for reporting the crime of rape. That is exactly what happened. And on top of that, there was no justice given to the Palestinians. What about the innocent civilians that had their limbs amputated? Simply for saying we want peace. We want peace, and they got shot. That was the retaliation for people that are standing up in their own territory, in their own land, and they get shot. What crime did the child do for being born a Palestinian? Why are we discriminating against people because of their race? Why are we discriminating against people because of the land that they were born in? Because we're ruled by racists. Now, shame on you, Rishi Sunak. Shame on you, the Conservative Party. And Sir Keir Starmer. I'm not even going to call you Sir. You don't deserve to be a Sir. They're racist because they're backing racists. Anyone that supports this Nazi regime is a racist. And they've got blood on their hands as well. They're criminals against humanity. And those who are silent are criminals against humanity. You need to speak up and speak for the truth and justice for all human beings. All life matter. Everyone deserves to live and everyone deserves to be respected, and there should be freedom for everyone. Everyone should have a voice to say their opinion, in whichever way they feel. People have a right to be angry against the establishment, with disappointment in the British government. Very disappointed. They've betrayed the British people. They've betrayed the Scottish people. Even the head of Scotland right now, he's got family in Gaza and they're trapped in Gaza. He was in tears the other day. And Rishi Sunak had no heart. No heart to speak to him and understand his situation. He says there's anti-Semitic behavior against the Jews. But guess what? There is Islamophobia against the Muslims. The Muslims are the ones that are suffering. Why is that? When did Rishi Sunak go visit a mosque? When did Rishi Sunak go to an Islamic school? When did Rishi Sunak speak up for the injustice of the Palestinians and discrimination? Never. That's the answer, if you don't know. He's never done that. He don't stand for the British people. He stands for himself. He's a racist and he doesn't belong to be the Prime Minister. He has no right to rule this country. He should be ejected. And so does Keir Starmer. These are Muppets. They're working for their own self-interest. They're not working for the interest of the British, nor for the human race, nor for anyone. They're working only for themselves. At least Boris Johnson had some sense of humour. He was a funny character. He was a liar. He was abusing his position of authority. But at least he had a great sense of humour. He made me laugh. He could have probably knocked me out laughing. So, I don't know. I mean, as much as I didn't like Boris Johnson being in power, but at least he was funny. He had a sense of humour. That's all I can tell you. He cracked me up a few times. Even when he's lying, you can actually see that he is lying. And it was more like a comedy show when you watch politics, British politics, when Boris was around. But yeah, the good old days, let's say. Okay, let's carry on.
I get your point.
Finish up. If they try and bring it
We're
up,
running out of time. That's why I'm jumping in.
if they try and bring it up to international law, it's thwarted.
I do think
if they're trying to boycott,
international law matters.
Sure.
I just don't believe that any peace can be achieved with Hamas in charge. Do you?
Before Hamas,
Now, after what happened last weekend.
Forget about last weekend. Last weekend is...
Can't forget about last weekend.
No, it's not. Before last weekend, before Hamas in 1987, this was still going on.
But not on this scale. And
worse.
No, it wasn't as bad as this.
What are you talking about?
What happened on October 7th
that shows ignorance
was
of
the
history.
single worst assault on a...
Piers Morgan, what kind of absurd nonsense are you talking about? Do you not know that they've massacred hundreds of thousands of Palestinians? Millions of people have died under the occupation. The British massacred 500,000 Egyptians. I've even spoken to British officers that served the British Army at the time of the World War II. And they told me about all these criminal offences and the massacres and rape of Egyptians, children, teenage girls, going into villages, massacring prisoners of war. I had one officer tell me that they had all these captured Egyptian prisoners of war in 1967, and then they forced them to dig a trench, and they kept them digging, and then they opened fire on them. And I asked him one simple question: why did you do that? Why did you kill the prisoners of war? And he said we didn't have enough resources to support them. So we just decided to kill all these Egyptians, the prisoners of war. That's what the British did. The British that gave Palestine to the Zionist state. Same criminals. There was no justice. That's what they do. They don't have rules of engagement. Did Egypt get compensated for the crimes against humanity from the British? Did the Algerians get compensated for the crimes against humanity from the French? Of course not. Nothing. It was complete silence. There was no justice to anyone. Why? Because they're a different ethnic group. They don't deserve to live. The same racism that was adopted by Hitler against the Jews is the same racism the British applied when they occupied Egypt and India and all the other territories in Africa. They were enslaving everyone. They were abusing their positions of authority when they occupied land. Same thing that's happening with the Zionists right now. When they moved into Palestine, they started off as a terror group. And even they did terrorist attack against the British. They even attacked USS Liberty and killed US officers, massacred them. And then you feel, well, they were Americans, but they wanted to start World War III. They wanted to nuke Egypt. They wanted to blame Egypt for this false flag operation. But unfortunately for them, there were some survivors that warned and told they told the control unit that it's the Israelis. And when the Israelis intercepted the communication, they turned around and said it was an accident. Although they knew full well it was an American ship, the USS Liberty. Go investigate, do some research. They were born out of crime. They're a terrorist organization and need to be stopped. They don't represent the Jews. They only represent a racism ideology. It's a racist ideology claiming that they're a superior race. And that is why you get them on TV and you ask them and they say, how dare you question our intentions, and how dare you, do you not know that God gave us this superiority? He promised this land to us, and yeah, we are the best people in the world and we are the superior race. You cannot question our action in any way. And we have the right to do whatever we want because we are the superior race. They speak with so much arrogance and haughtiness. They spread corruption around the world, not just in Palestine, but all over the world. They're born from criminals and they live and thrive on committing crime against humanity. That's what they are. Very few wake up before it's too late. Maybe you should get on Mikko Peled, who was from a Zionist family. His grandfather was a signature to the Israeli independence, general. And he's an author of The General's Son. Maybe you should bring him on the show. Get him to speak. Because he understands the both sides. He understands exactly what's going on. From an Israeli. From someone that was born with the same ideology as Zionists. And I'm not saying that all Zionists need to die or any of that nonsense. I believe anybody can change. You can start off as a right wing and you can change. There are right wing people, activists and racists and people that were attacking the Muslims and they eventually reverted to Islam. People can change. They just need to seek guidance. They need to read, research, find out the facts, find out the truth, find out the real history. So I believe everybody deserves to live. And like I told you when I was recording and some of my points, I said, I have some Zionist friends. We have some heated debates at some points. We have disagreements. But we don't take up arms and start killing each other. We're still friends in some way. You know, but I try to tell them my point of view. They might disagree and say, no, we don't agree because we believe that we are a superior race. And they always come down to race, you know, because they're racist. They have a racist ideology. They've been brainwashed from childhood that they're a superior race and they deserve, they're entitled. They're like a spoiled child that feels entitled to everything and everyone should give them. When they want something, they should give it to them because they're being spoiled. They never had a hard life. So they expect everyone to just be at their disposal at all times. So, unfortunately, this is the reality, Piers Morgan. Anyway, it's almost finished, like you said, this last few minutes. So let's just watch the last minute, I think. It's got the last minute of the show, and then I'll wrap up, inshallah, God willing.
Popular since 9/11. It was.
Yom Kippur War was 2,600 people died, by the way. 1973. That's false.
In one day?
In one day, I don't know, about 600 people died in one day.
Mohammed, I've got to leave it there. We've run out of time. I gave you more time than I planned to. Sure. I hope you appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you.
Yep, so it's actually finished now. Yeah, thank you very much, Piers Morgan, for bringing on Mohammed Hijab. I do disagree with a lot of the points that you brought up, because definitely these massacres is not something new. Israelis have been massacring innocent civilians for a very, very, very long time. In fact, over 100 years before the state of Israel, the occupation started, they were causing terrorist attacks against the natives of the land, the Palestinians. And they were causing terrorist attacks not just on the Muslims, not just on the Arabs, on the Jews that resisted and rejected the whole concept of creating a Jewish state. So they have no right. They've gone against the Torah. They've gone against their own religious bodies to do this. And many of them are secular. They don't even believe in God. In fact, the very founder of Zionists was a secularist. He was an atheist, sorry. He was an atheist. He didn't believe in a God. And he was inspired. In fact, he even said himself he's inspired by the Nazis. He's inspired by Hitler. He said, just like Hitler, why can't we be like him? He's creating a superior race. He's purifying his genetics. He wants this pure gene. Why can't we take some of these ideas and just like he's trying to create this Aryan race, let's have the Jewish race. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's create a terrorist group and do the same thing. Let's go ethnically cleanse a group of people. Who could we use as an enemy? Let's think a little bit. You know, the people that were trying to save us, the people that were hospitable to us, the people that were offering their homes and inviting us and being nice to us, let's use them. They're an easy target because they're so kind. And kindness means they're stupid. So let's exploit their kindness. That's the way they were thinking. They abused the very people that were helping them. They were being hospitable to them. You go anywhere all over the Middle East, you go to Morocco, you find all the native people trying to invite you to their home, share their culture with you, be kind with you, and they might have very little food, but they'll share it with you. They'll give it all to you. They'll go to sleep hungry and make sure that your belly is full. Because that's the teaching of Islam. That's the teaching from Abraham, by the way. The father of Ishaq and Ismail. That's what he taught us. He was hospitable. He was generous. He was charitable. So we should all be like that. Because, like I said so many times during this video, we're all brothers and sisters. We all belong to the human race. There's no justification for violence or abuse or discrimination or segregation. We should be cooperating together to create a better world for everyone in this generation and the next. Look after the planet, look after the environment, look after the animal kingdom, look after all creations of God. We are all belonging to the same human race. The first racist, Piers, if you ever watched my video, was actually Satan. Satan was the first racist because he was racist against the human race. He was from a different race and he was discriminating against the human race, which is Adam. And we are all the children of Adam. And he is our open enemy. That is why he's racist. That is why he's causing division. So yeah, I hope, inshallah, we get peace. Because it is possible to have peace. But currently, under a Netanyahu government, under a far-right government, under a racist government, under an apartheid state, it's impossible. Because they're already in arms. They're already going out to kill, massacre, destroy, cause the maximum damage to another group of people, ethnically cleanse the land. then from the natives of the land, just like the British did to the Aborigines in Australia, and they did in America, killing native Indians. I think something like 500 million native Indians were massacred to create a new settler. So who do you think the Zionists and Nazis learned from? They learned from us, from the British and Americans and the Europeans that were going around on a rampage of massacres. It's an unfortunate state. But we need to change. We don't have to be like our forefathers and ancestors that committed crime. We don't have to be a criminal. Someone's son of a criminal, he doesn't have to grow up to become a criminal like his dad or his grandfather. He could change. He could be a law-abiding citizen. He could be someone that's beneficial in society, not an outlaw. Everyone can change. And while you're still in the game, you still have a chance to win the game. And I don't mean like a computer game, but the game of life. You can change your life. Doesn't matter how you started your life. It's important how you end your life. Don't end your life as a coward. Don't end your life silent against tyranny and oppression and crime that's taking place. Speak up against it. Speak up against injustice. You know? So this is my opinion. You may share the same views as me. Welcome. If you don't, and you feel that I'm wrong, show me some evidence. Give me some constructive criticism, not just criticism, constructive. You know, give me some facts and figures and evidence that whatever I said is incorrect. But with time, everybody will know the truth. The truth eventually outshines falsehood. It always does. And God sees everything, and He's in control of everything. Allah is the real superpower, not America or Israel or anybody else. Even if the whole world unite together on this common cause of massacring innocent civilians, if God wills it not to happen, He will protect them. If it's written for them, it will happen, and there will be in paradise as martyrs, fighting the last breath of their life. They'll get an amazing reward for it. But you're dead if you decide to align yourself with the terrorists, those Nazis, those Zionists, those far-right extremists that were born out of terrorism. Then you also will be in hellfire for eternity if you die in that state. But if you repent, and this is your last warning, God will forgive you if you repent for your past and change your way. Then you will also be brothers in Islam, not just in humanity. You'll be brothers in faith, and you'll be our brothers in paradise. But if you continue and die in that state, boy oh boy, you'll be in hellfire, far hotter, 1 billion times than the sun. The punishment that you'll face, you will forget any enjoyment that you've had in this life. You would not even feel it. You would say, I've never ever had any enjoyment in life. And I don't wish that for you. And this is why I'm speaking out. Because I want to wake up. I want to wake up those people that are in slumber right now, that have forgotten their true purpose in life. I want you to research and investigate and find out the facts. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. You could disagree with absolutely everything, but at least go on your own journey to find the truth. Outside mainstream media, go read some books, go out there and just spend some time finding out the truth and real history of how Israel came to place. Don't side with anyone, not because you are an Israeli citizen or you're a Zionist or your parents were Zionists, you side with them and align and say, no, my parents were never wrong. No, maybe they made the wrong decision. Maybe they were in the wrong track. You don't have to be like them. You could be a peaceful, respectful human being. And then also, if anyone's never read the Quran, please, for your own sake, pick up a Quran, just read a few pages. Start from the beginning. Start randomly. Open Open a book for halfway and just read it, just a few pages, 5 pages even. Just read 5 pages and then make a decision. Make a decision for yourself. Don't believe anyone. Just open a book and read it. With a pure heart, pure mind, and sincerity. I want to really know what this book says in there. You'll be very surprised. Nothing in there glorifies any forms of violence against another human being. The teachings are so beautiful, so inspirational. When I read the Quran, I feel like God is talking to me directly, as if every situation that He's describing, as if He's actually saying to me, that's the solution to the problem that you're facing right now. Even if it's a coding challenge, programming, because that's what I am. I'm mainly a software engineer, as a businessman and a software engineer. But I always get inspired. Every time I read something, I think as if it's written just for me. Allah's talking to me directly. Just try it. You'll be surprised. Listen to Quran, even in Arabic, if you don't understand a word. Try to. There is Qurans on YouTube and elsewhere where you can actually hear the Arabic and you also hear the translation in English. So you get a gist of what it's saying. Try to listen to a little bit of the Quran. See how it affects you. It will affect you positively. It will lift you up. That's my advice, Piers Morgan. I wish for you the best, my friend. I hope you get guided. And if you don't, I wish you have a good life. I don't wish for you any harm at all. And I wish you are a happy life, successful life, whatever you choose to do, whichever side you're on. That's my opinion. You shouldn't side with the terrorists, but if you still insist to side with the terrorists, that's your choice, my friend. It's your choice. It's your free will. You do whatever you want to do. But if you do a crime, you're going to pay for that crime. In this world or the next, you'll pay for it. Anyone that does a crime, they'll pay for that. They'll pay for that price. Even if they get away with it, even if they're never caught, they'll be caught in the hereafter, because God sees us all and He knows who did what and who repented for their sin and their mistakes and who didn't, who became arrogant and ignored the significance of their crime. Felt like it's nothing. I'm not that bad, just not. There are people that are worse than me. No, my friend, whatever little or great the crime is, it's still a crime. It's unacceptable in the sight of God. That's my opinion anyway. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family and viewers, it's getting very late now. It's midnight. And I'm going to wrap up now, and all I want to do now is just say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessing be upon you all. Peace and happiness, and good night, and bye-bye. Take care.